The city, once known as Amaranth, goes by a different name now. Ashfall. Freed from the fetters of the Dianthian Empire, within its hallowed walls you see now a free nation, held together by familial ties and bonds forged in ash, fallen from a fractured sky, a collection of world powers in the domain of the gods. Having descended from their planes and sacrificed much of their divine power, they've taken a mortal coil with one goal: to claim a mysterious prize atop the impossible heights and maddening floors of the dungeon of avarice. They themselves cannot set foot within its duplicitous interior, nor can they witness the penetrating darkness and nightmarish horrors of the dungeon. Rather, they gather the mortals whose hearts yearn for greatness, and sear to their very souls an ash bond. This mark allows them to taste of the gods' immense power, the strength to move mountains, the wisdom of the ages, and the knowledge of the cosmos. Some say that the gods are merely mirrors of their divine selves, falsehoods corrupted by the sin of mortality. Others know their gods to be just, loving, and true, a divine blessing upon a world made weary of endless war and conflict. To those few who ascend the dungeon's floors for their god or for themselves, they struggle against an invincible beast named Dominance, its claws endless, its fangs waiting, and its gaze unblinking. Ambition is the game, and the prize? Anything you could possibly desire.
Welcome, travelers, to the Dragonleaf, the tea house where tales are told. Come on in, grab a cup on the house, and listen to a tale or two. This next tale is our inaugural episode for our very first live campaign. We are so incredibly excited to share this with you and to take this journey together. So, without any further ado, it's time to open up shop. Coming up first, we have Bianca. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Bianca. I hope you guys enjoy the show.
Beautiful. Candace.
Hey, I'm Candace. I'm a video game animator. Fun fact about me, the other night I went to go pick up my dog's poop in the dark and somehow stepped in every single piece of it, which is impressive because my dog is like a travel pooper. He can travel like 6 feet while pooping. And I was not wearing my own shoes. I was wearing my boyfriend's shoes at the time. So
Oh, no.
there's that.
I don't see a problem anymore then. Tamara.
Hello, my name is Tamara. My pronouns are she and they. I am a personification of a rainbow, if you can't tell. And I am a preschool teacher by trade. I'm a huge nerd. And Candace's dog, even though they are a travel pooper, is one of the only dogs I actually kind of like.
Fun facts. Now I'll have to do something. And Damon.
Oh, my name is Damon. I'm new here. This is my first time playing with this group. Beyond one-shots.
Fresh meat, fresh meat, fresh meat.
Yeah.
Fresh meat.
And that comes down to me. I'm Adrian Bell. I'm the dungeon master of this tale and the storyteller for now and ever, probably, as I enjoy most and fully. As we continue in and through, I am a environment artist and lighting artist for video games and have been for quite some time now. And dungeon master, well, maybe first and foremost, who knows? Please don't fire me. And as we move in and we say our hellos, we enter into a new world. As we have been in the real one for just quite long enough. Let me go ahead and shuffle a few things here for y'all. As the music settles in, a whole new world begins before us. We arrive now in Amaranth, the jewel of the known world. Once, a fishing and trade village sat upon the eastern coast of Aboria. Within the arrival of the dungeon, a massive enclosed structure that pierces the sky, descended the gods. Dispelling a more than 100-year war between the Empire of Dianthus and the city-state of Amaranth, peace reigned for a time under them. But with no way to enter the dungeon that drew their curiosity, wars broke out between the virtuous and villainous gods for domination over the structure. They quarreled over the right to the dungeon until two figures emerged from the interior. A marvelous figure of shifting steel, not quite humanoid nor machine, and a drow man of gray skin, gleaming armor, and piercing white eyes, the guardians of the dungeon. In time, they came to be known as the Iris and Argental. A challenge was issued to the gods, and the prize outlined. The gods are to ascend the dungeon with the goal of reaching the top, but they themselves cannot set foot within as this challenge extends to the mortals upon the ground. Which of the gods were present at this time is not known for certain to the mortals of the material plane, and not one of those gods would reveal the true nature of the prize said to wait for them at the top of the dungeon. For one reason or another, it is the world's most protected information. The Guardians declared that the gods of the world who would remain in the plane would become denizens of it, and with a flourish of magic that far exceeded their own capabilities as known, many gods that remained were stripped of much of their divine power, taking root as beings not quite god and not mortal. Many gods remained, and as the dungeon opened its 4 doors, the sky split with a massive fracture. From it, incorporeal ash began to fall, and upon and through the very world itself. The gods over time discovered the means to grant this divine power to the mortals. Using the ash that falls from what came to be known as the Sylph Stream, they imbue a bond into their very bodies and souls, a tattoo that grows as the wielder grows in power, known as an ash bond. With this bond, the mortals join hands with each other and their gods to become family. The city blooms once more as all mortals rush to Amaranth to join hands with the gods and the promise of the unknown, infinite prize of the dungeon. From then on, the gods offered unseen splendors to the mortals freely. Gond, the god of crafting and invention, began to build mechanical marvels. Mystra, the lady of magic and mystery, began her study into the essence of the world and its sparse connection to her weave. Ilmater, the god of martyrdom, began to build for the destitute and the needy, feeding and caring for them, alongside Shantia, the goddess of agriculture, who irrigates the land and creates an abundance of sumptuous food where once there was none. In the blink of an eye, the entire world turned its gaze towards Amaranth, and the city advanced centuries in a few years, a renaissance of wonder. At first, the dungeon's ascent was fierce, and seemingly would continue until it fell to the relentless charge. Families struggled to provide enough resources for their children to ascend it, and so competition turned to cooperation. Alliances and rivalries were formed, struggles and glories came daily, and everyone strove towards a single, unified goal. But the more that was discovered, the more roadblocks were set in place within the dungeon. Those who broke through these roadblocks gained immense fame and wealth, their names known the world wide. And as such, the mortals fought in grand and historic battles to break through the dungeon's floors. But upon the 26th floor of the seerized 60 total, all progress halted. It has been 12 years now since the dungeon's progress has stagnated, but the competition is as fierce as ever. There are many stories to tell, and infinite ways that this world might come to heal before you. But this tale, cliche though it may be, begins as many before it have, with a grave robbing. Welcome, everybody. And allow me to set the tone a little bit. As the early morning fog lifts from the dew-covered grass, we spot an open grave, illuminated by lantern light in the distance. The song of ocean spray that crashes against the cliffs of the Storm's Call wharf below covers the repeated shoveling sound, which gives way. The melody is broken by a loud wooden thunk and shoveling meeting pine. With the resounding sound of metal ringing out, the crows that perched overhead until only moments ago call out, and in the break of silence, we see a brown-haired human woman, just past adulthood, peer her dirt-smudged face out of the freshly excavated hole, and a well-dressed, tall, and lithe individual with a pencil-thin mustache offers a hand to aid. Matilda, would you describe yourself, please?
I have long brown hair. I'm wearing a dress with long sleeves and boots that are very covered in mud. I have very dark skin, brown eyes, and I am reaching out my hand out to my pom-pom to help me out of this hole.
Oh, gotta get that voice in there now. Come, Matilda. We've not much time. You know Mother Mal will be incredibly furious if we do not begin to deliver this properly. You're basically like hand reached out, you're lifted up out of the hole and kind of set off to the side as you begin to just like glance around the forest. Pom-Pom looks around. Matilda, watch the south. I'll be watching the north.
I take out my book and I look and I'm like, okay, we need to get 6 teeth, a femur, and the whole rib cage if we can. That's what she asked for. I'll go watch.
That's the minimum, dear. If we can, we should attempt to gather everything. Now, you're doing wonderfully, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, thank you.
Come, if you would roll perception for me. The first roll of the campaign.
Oh my god. Okay.
Set the tone.
Set that shit.
Spooky
Set
bitch.
it high.
Bitch. Okay,
Spooky
when,
The Matilda mantra.
Yes, when it comes to this, we're not level 3 yet, but our character sheet says that we are. So I don't add anything to this right now, right?
You do. Your proficiencies are your own.
Okay.
So just roll as normal.
Alright, hold on. Bear with me. Oh, hold on. It loaded for some reason. Oh, okay.
You have been switched.
Very high.
Oh no. That's a good number. Here, allow me a brief moment, everyone.
What
Could've been worse,
proficiencies are you talking about? There's nothing added to that 6.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did I say proficient? Did I say you were proficient? My mistake. With a solid 6. Wonderful. You and Pom-Pom begin to examine, and as you begin to look around the immediate gardens of the area, the crows kind of just tearing overhead and the constant sea spray slamming against the rocks underneath. You move down and you continue to shovel. Go ahead and roll a wisdom saving throw for me.
Okay. Be kind, I'm learning. Where's my little token? So I can do my character sheet thing, or no, not yet. Okay, hold on.
I can drag one of those in for you.
Never mind. Okay. +3. Oh.
Should that have any pluses to it?
Oh,
3,
you're currently
so 13.
You're currently set to Elandra.
Yes, I just realized that.
That's all good. That will just appear as that on the bottom. As you look around in the midnight, you feel just a brief cold wash over you. You kind of perk up for a brief moment as you feel this just eerie nature wash over you. Pom-Pom returns for no more than a half second, and he kind of grabs you by the shoulders for a brief moment and brings you over to the side as he sits you next to an open gravestone in the shape of a kind of like large encircled sun. Matilda, there is a bow hiding behind the gravestone. Do you remember what we do if anything goes awry?
Run?
That's good. Aim for the knees. He takes a few steps forward and moves in as you now notice the swinging of a short piece of metal in this just flowing motion and a faint illumination of a lantern that moves upwards towards you. Pom Pom sidles up and begins to walk forward as he makes it just past your hearing range and meets with the figure in the distance. You kind of sit briefly overlooking this scene. You hear like hushed tones in the distance of as things continue. The conversation goes on for a good minute until things become slightly heated. What do you do?
I try and get a better angle. If I can see if I could find their knees in the dark.
Go ahead and roll perception for me.
Okay.
And as you begin to move around, unseen, I imagine,
Yes.
I will go ahead and roll a stealth check for you.
Oh, great. That's with a +3, so it's
As you begin to move about, you realize the ultimate weakness of the human. As off in the distance, illuminated by the sparse lantern light that has now been hooded from the top down, the figures are all but silhouettes in the dark, and it becomes just incredibly difficult to see them. But as you move about and around, go ahead and get this in here for you.
Because I can't see knees, would I be able to throw a rock in a direction for a distraction?
You can shoot that bow in a direction. Oh, I see. As you scour down towards the ground, you move with a fluidity and ease that makes you feel as though you are no more than the ghosts that inhabit this graveyard. And as you grab down, you grab a rock. You have one in hand, pretty hefty.
I'm gonna kind of throw it in a direction like away from us, or from what I think is the person that came to talk to Pom Pom. I'm just gonna chuck it and see if it does anything.
You turn, you throw the rock. I would say just go ahead and roll straight d20 for me here.
Okay. Roll! Come on, roll better! I've been rolling such... yes, much better!
16 total. You toss the rock over to the side, and as you hear a brief fall into a small puddle nearby, both figures turn and look onwards towards this for a brief moment, and you hear Pom Pom say, "Well, go ahead, you go investigate." As slowly the other figure begins to move up towards the area, you duck down, and you see this kind of just nervous figure with the hooded lantern open it slowly as they move towards this little puddle off to the side and begin to investigate. You see the face now kind of just like deep, jagged, inset, like cheekbones, dense, just he's got this very strange multi-layered face where his cheekbones dig into his mouth and his jaw juts out afterwards, and then comes down to a point with a small chin beard that extends downward, making his entire face look like an hourglass that has been melted. And as the figure looks over towards, no, nothing like that. We don't need to worry. Not quite yet. And Pom Pom moves over into your range as they begin their conversation anew, and you see Pom Pom kind of look over to you for a brief moment and shift himself so that he is between you and this figure, basically blocking line of sight. Roll insight.
Oh, hold on.
Beautiful. Set that tone. Natural 1 for those listening. As you are confused as to this motion, and as you kind of stand looking around, Pom Pom brings his hands back behind him and continues to speak with the person. Well, if I'm being completely honest with you, this isn't very much to pay for the love of your life, is it? I will remind you that if you do not fulfill your end of the contract, there will be dire circumstances. The figure I don't need to say nothing more than that. He's coming soon, so just get about it. And he turns and, with the hefty sound of coin kind of lining his coat, begins to leave towards the entrance. As Pom Pom turns around and comes back towards you. Matilda, it seems like maybe we should just focus on the ribcage this time. Hopefully Mama Mal is not too frustrated, but it does not seem that we have very much time.
Why did you stand in the way? I was gonna make him take an arrow to the knee.
That was the danger part. He would be better for us walking, I think.
Oh.
He turns and makes his way back to the grave with a haste. And as he just kind of like hits the end, you see him take a single step over and just slowly descend into the grave. As the shoveling continues, and you hear the sound of pine tear open as he reaches a hand out. Matilda, come.
Is there any flesh stuck to it this time?
Only a little bit.
Well,
I'll let you have it this time. As you both sit down and you begin to attempt to excavate as much of this as you can, roll medicine for me. As you attempt to pull what you may away from the body of this mysterious cadaver.
Okay. Alrighty. Roll. What is going on?
I love this so very much.
Damn it. It's just like time, baby steps.
Oh my god.
You know, you're just level 0. You're gonna get so good. Eventually.
Let me make sure of
Thanks for the
something
pity.
here.
I appreciate it, Candace.
Also, Tamara, if you go up to the little 3 persons at the top right on little tabs, and you open the character tab,
yes.
then you can get to your sheet from there.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated.
You begin to dig into the body, and as Pom Pom focuses down on a bit of kind of like removing what they had in life, you see him pack it up into a small pouch, and he places it on the top of the forehead, tying it with a red string that just kind of ignites immediately. You see the entire bag open up, and everything on the inside converted into this pale copper. As the jewelry just falls from the face, he lifts it away, and you see both of the eyes just missing from the cadaver. Just a solid and just sheer skin.
Oh,
and as he turns towards you, you say that like watching intently as you see this just like strange ritual he's performing, and you just tear a piece off, and as Pom Pom turns around with an abrupt start, you hear footsteps and this pale off in the distance. What's going on over there? What is this? It's nothing, sir. It's nothing, sir. You don't need to worry about this. Pom Pom stops for a brief moment. Get up, get out, Matilda. He stands, makes his way out of the grave, reaches a hand down again.
I tried to rip out a rib before I get up.
You got one solid chunk, and you just kind of pocket it as best you can. Actually, do you pocket it, or are you just like holding a rib?
Yeah, so I just hold it. I hold it where the pointy side is out because I could probably stab someone with it.
You see Pom Pom once again kind of shuffle his way in front of you as this very large figure, you two step out of the grave and kind of stand off to the side as the two figures, the one you had seen before and this new, just very rotund, merchant-looking individual begins to stride forward. You see two kind of incredibly well-dressed, like gala-oriented people, a male halfling on one side and a female human on the other. As this individual's just striding through the graveyard, you see the two with him terrified, utterly terrified. And as he approaches, you can see this look of just confidence on his face. Just, we had agreed this was a private encounter. You were to keep everyone and everything out of this graveyard. Who are they? He points towards Pom Pom and Matilda. Matilda? You're an adult now. The world is dire and large. I'm speaking with you! Raises a finger. Just one moment. What What do you think we should do in this moment?
Can you do the fun thing you do when you mess with people's heads and make them forget about us?
That's a somewhat limited ability. If I use that now, we're at risk in the future. Do you still wish for me to do this?
Yes.
Well, he turns and he begins to move up towards the merchant, who's just like, "You will stop right there. I will have none of this." As he moves forward. "Oh, you will have this. The fact that you believe you have the choice is wildly beyond me." Raises a hand up. You see the two individuals next to him. He gauges both of them for a brief moment, raises one hand and begins to wave it in an arcane form. His eyes flare to life for a brief moment, and those two turn and just begin to run, terrified. You see the merchant stands there, somewhat unaffected by this. Reaches down, grabs the shovel, and goes for an attack. Grabs the shovel, picks it up, goes to swing it. Immediately, spade flies off in the distance, and he literally misses entirely as he looks over towards the wood-laden top. Fine. 3 years. As he yells up out into the open air, you see the merchant, you hear. And where he was standing but a brief moment ago is no one. He looks over towards the other individual. "We had a deal. But I tell you what, I have a wonderful, wonderful little girl behind me here." And he leans back and points towards you. "She will decide what happens when you are to breach this contract, as we left the details so deliciously vague. Matilda, what do we do to those who break contract?" I'm sorry, I placed silence over you. One moment, and you see the silence bubble that surrounds you dispel.
It depends on the clause that is in the contract, but you said it was very vague, so...
True love. One that extends far beyond one station. And he looks back towards the individual who's just standing there, who looks at you. "Please."
Well, he works at a graveyard. What if every person that he loves is destined to die?
Anything but that, please.
You could spend all the time with them, they'd just be bones.
Pom Pom turns towards you and says, "Such is the contract." The individual turns and attempts to run, and you see Pom Pom look at him for a brief moment, and he's like, "I don't know why for even a brief moment we thought we wouldn't let him run. That wasn't part of this." He turns and looks towards the body. "Unfortunately, we'll have to leave that. What I've done will only last another 30 seconds or so. Let's run, Matilda."
Okay.
The two of you turn and begin to make your way to the north outside of the graveyard from the area. Did you hear that? The terms have been set. No. Well, maybe midnight. And then he continues to run off into the distance. Over time, it takes maybe a few hours into the early morning as the sun begins to crest above the top of the city to the south. And you see the golden, wonderful tones begin to pour up. As the sun begins to move, you see them shift and the long shadows begin to pour over the city. As you make your way back towards Mal's Melodies. And now, as you leave the graveyard, the sound of the city begins to pour in the early morning of the wharf as everything begins to pull from a single small and quiet little area into the safety of the city. the people begin to move. And in the early morning, as people move crates about, you and Pom Pom kind of leave this just minor stealth. You can hear in the distance a grand theater beginning to ramp up for their morning productions in the Reverie. And you make your way south through the rack until eventually you return to past your home and down towards Mal's Maladies within the Harvest Ward. As you enter in, you see Mama Mal standing there, who approaches kind of giddily, covered top to bottom in blood, and just reaches around and places her hands on your back, and it's just like, oh, I'm so glad you two are home. How did it go? Do you have what we need?
I think it went abysmally. It went very terribly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was very excited for a brief moment, but it seems that that's not what I wanted to hear. She looks over towards Pom Pom.
I have one rib.
I can fix this. We don't need to worry too much about everything that's going on. But today is going to go horribly, and we're all going to love it. Now, Pom Pom, return home and think about your failure. He says, of course. He turns, leans in, and they kiss each other on the cheek briefly before he turns, gives you a big hug, and looks onward towards the family. What a wonderful life we lead. And closes the door behind him. You see her still kind of covered in blood, and now Pom Pom somewhat covered in blood as he leaves the room. She looks at you. Okay, I have quite a few things to finish this morning. Is it possible, could I ask you to take the back room for a brief time? We've someone new that needs to be interred for the evening, and I've finished most of the procedures. They're all but empty, but we'll need to dress them up a little bit. Do you have the time for that, Matilda, right now?
How good of a job are you wanting?
Minimum 65%.
I'll do 55.
61. Roll persuasion.
Okay.
Well, you agreed. She stands. She kind of shores you up slightly and just kind of brings over a cloth and begins to wipe off the little bit of smudged blood. Takes a large blue tarp and tosses it over you. Back room 3. We've got some funeral services to attend to for the afternoon.
Put my gloves on.
Tiring situations. Excellent, my love, please. And do be careful. We know how the spirits can sometimes get restless around the bodies. She gives you a peck on the cheek and moves around and continues with her work.
Put on my goggles and I go in.
You make your way over towards the room, and as you enter in, you see an empty table.
I shut the door.
You enter into this stone room that has basically been carved into a small basement, chilly as you enter in, and the stench of death, but also lavender hangs in the air. And as you look around, you don't see this figure. You call out for Mama Mal, but as the door closes, the silence in the room, you can literally feel the air pressure dig into your ears.
And Matilda pauses. She's like, no, I don't think that. No. Look up? Okay, and Matilda looks up. And
Roll perception with advantage.
It looks like she's having a conversation in her head with some people, but yeah, she looks up. Oh, and I'll roll one more time. I forgot to roll it twice. Oh, better. Thank God.
17 plus 20 total.
Mm-hmm.
As you glance up towards the roof, you see a smear that leads off from the corner and kind of around the edge. And as you look, you basically see fresh little droplets of blood dripping. You see this dissected figure that stands over in the edge, pale gray skin, the eyes just white and covered over with faint bloodshot edges as it looks towards you with just these needle-like teeth. The open stomach like lens to the interior of the creature as it just stands and just.
Is there a broom nearby?
Oh, of course.
Get down! Get down!
Moves over to the other side, just shuffling off to the edge.
Get back on the table, you stupid body! Get!
Reaches up and you see its fingertips just dig into the stone roof as it attempts to pull a chunk out of the top of the roof. And as it does so, it literally loses its footing and slams into the ground underneath it, shuffling up back to its feet.
I start beating it with a broom.
Roll an attack roll.
Okay.
Treating it like a spider.
This is probably not Matilda's first time she's seen something on the ceiling.
13? Yeah, you bring that broom up and you slam into it. Go ahead and roll a d4 plus strength.
Hold on. Matilda, oh man, that's gonna be negative, Adrian. Why are you making me do that?
Mm-hmm.
D4 -1, okay.
If you can explain to me why your charisma helps you in hitting something with a broom, I might consider.
That's fine. A 3.
4, that's not bad. As you, 3. As you slam the broom down into the top of the head of this mostly destroyed creature, the head just kind of bounds off to the side for a brief moment, and you see its like pale, empty eyes stare at you as it just lunges forward for an attack roll. Roll a dexterity saving throw for me.
She dies in the intro.
No!
Yeah, as you guys are currently commoners, which means you have 4 hit points.
Plus 0.
As this creature dives in towards you, it grabs on and pins you to the ground. You can see the like just open interior of its body slowly begin to just drip this fluid out over top of you. And as it reaches down to take a first bite, you just hear as the top of this creature's head just boom hit. You see a flash of radiant light as the entire head just kind of blows off to the side and it just slumps over into the ground, twitching for a brief moment before stopping completely. You look over towards the wall where you saw this strange mote of light appear, and you just see holes born through the wall itself out into the open air as the wind begins to pour in. Roll. You don't have Mason's tools proficiency, do you?
No.
Roll a general intelligence check.
Okay. I am smart though.
Ooh. +2. 17. As you look in, you are probably at least 7 feet underground. And whatever this was bore itself through solid stone. You hear a voice begin to echo out through the solid stone over to the side. Are you alright in there?
I think so. Get
that's
off
good.
me. Get off, stupid dead body.
Toss it off to the side and it slumps off onto the ground. You stand and move, looking at this strange kind of creature, these blackened fingernails that extend for a few inches and just this almost translucent skin to this point due to the complete lack of blood as it just kind of lays on the ground and fully ends its undeath. I got a little something for you. Sorry, I thought you'd be a little bit longer than you were. My apologies. If you can just... You hear like this just faint scraping sound as a spider makes its way through the hole, holding a small piece of paper that just drops itself over onto the ground and disappears into a puff of ether.
No, I'm not going to eat the paper. No.
No, please don't. No, there's words on the paper. Eating it, it's like an essence thing, yeah? No, you can't get the essence of the words by eating it, yeah? You can read common, right?
I'm not going to burn it either. Okay, shh. Hold on.
Sorry, yeah.
I walk over to the paper.
So you're literally conversing just through a hole in the ground as you hear this echoing voice, just like, I'm Kelly, by the way. Hello, nice to meet you.
You're not the first voice I've talked to through a hole. So I'm sorry if I seem underwhelmed. And I pick up the paper.
Oh, I'm glad you're underwhelmed. This is, for me, it seems out of sorts, but you know, it's good. We can just converse naturally through it. Hello, yeah, no, just keep walking. Right, yeah. You pop open the paper and you begin to read it. And the voice on the other side of the hole begins to read aloud, almost in narration, as you begin to read the words on the paper. My name's Kelly. I'm here in reference to a god who's been a little bit interested in you. If you have the time, tomorrow by midday, please go ahead and come on by to the location specified. Bring lunch, but snacks will be provided.
Okay. I have to talk to my parents before I make a decision about this, and then I will decide after I speak with them.
I can talk to him if you like.
No.
No?
Please
Okay. All right, I will. You hear the voice just begin to off into the distance. As you stand and look at the paper, you see this small drawn map from your current location through the city off to the south and into the old district of the city. An area that was once like a fort for Amaranth when it was initially being built centuries ago.
All right, I dust myself off, look at the body that is no way I'm going to 55% to make that look better, and walk up open the door, and Mama!
Yes, Matilda?
We have a lot to talk about.
Be down in a moment, my love. As you hear basically just the sound of weapons hitting floors. Ting, 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 ting. Zzz, placing that down. And as she comes down towards you, she kind of hits the edge of the area and looks inwards towards the just destroyed... Oh, it became a ghoul.
Yeah, it almost got me. But then this weird voice through the wall shot through. Well, Mitra and Faust told me to look up, thank goodness. And I saw that it was up there. I tried to get it with the broom, but then it decided to get all weird, and a voice through the wall helped me. It shot this weird beam thing, and then it gave me a note. And I show the note, and it told me to come here. Apparently, the god's interested in me.
She looks at it, flips it around. You see the writing on it. She says, "There's nothing on this, love."
Really? They spoke to me through the hole. They said to come.
Oh, I don't think you're lying, my dear. I think there's a hole born through our wall, and frankly, this place could use a little bit more air, don't you think? It smells ghastly like it with this.
Yeah. It's like free ventilation. Thank goodness they did that.
All right, we'll do this together for now, and then you'll help me also with the funeral arrangements. Come. And she grabs the creature and just begins to lift it as she slogs. We're going to have to get rid of those stains. And as the two of you begin preparing for the next phase of now attempting to make this ghoul look like a whatever Human. It was before, the camera begins to pull out and away from the Mal's Maladies funeral home. And the wonder of the city begins to spread in full. You hear the crowds kind of die away as the camera lifts up into the open air and moves over the briefly lit horizon with both starlight in the sky and a golden glow emitting from the buildings of the city. As it moves across the raucous halls of Talos, Ares, and Hercules, over the glittering azure of the Storm's End piers, as the clouds settle of the early morning glimmer to the beginning of a new day's sunrise, we spot a trio of goblins sat on a rope bridge. Slung between two buildings of the Whitewater Quay, this ramshackle bridge that kind of just begins to sway lightly sits in the open morning as they sit on the edge. You can see wearing coveralls of work and various different, one of which the energy just bubbling as they're bouncing and swinging on the rope bridge. They sit overlooking the water, the smallest of them, like just pulling the bridge back and forth, shaking it aggressively as the other goblins kind of just move with it. Taking shared swigs from a single gourd, they look around as the sound of footsteps of a fourth goblin entering the fray moves into the scene. A small goblin woman walks in with a quiet nervousness and a dangerous swinging of the old rope bridge, and as she steps up and makes her way to the group, Killian, would you describe yourself, please?
Sure. Killian is quite small, just shy over 3 feet tall. She has long dark hair that she has pulled back into a ponytail. and she has kind of bleached a almost skunk-like line in her hair, just to be a little bit different. She has light green kind of mottled skin, and she is also wearing, that's the same kind of dirty work coveralls. She also has a large, almost rabbit-like front teeth.
As you make your way onto the bridge from this just small door that's basically just a few rotten wood planks that has been used to cover this open bored hole into the top of these two towers in the Whitewater Quay, you see Pod, Yaga, and Killig, who sit on the rope bridge, and Pod speaks.
So you finally decided to shout up, eh? Hey, come on.
Leans the gourd over towards you.
Take a swig.
No, I'm good. Sorry, I just had some things to wrap up at the shop. Do we have to be here? It's much more solid over there on the stone.
They point up towards the spired roof that is like basically like a 80-degree angle. He's like,
We can go up there if you like. How else are you gonna see the sunrise, eh?
I guess this is fine.
You move back into the fore, and you sit down in this small group as Killig kind of stops just pulling on the reins, and they all look upon each other as Pod begins to speak.
We can stop bitching now, can't we? Well, the fucking opportunities.
Spits down the bridge, and you see it kind of fall for a brief moment as it hits the ground.
Can burn for all I care. This place is ridiculous.
You see Killig continue to swing, just hammered, as they move along the bridge, making noise.
Not that bad. You haven't even given it a shot.
Yaga begins to speak.
How many times do you need to die to Diver's Blades before you know better?
I didn't often, but we can't. Not anymore. We have to make the best life for ourselves that we can, because we only get the one now.
Killig stops swinging for a moment and looks at you, and it's just like,
You've always been an optimist, ain't you?
Why be anything else?
Why try? Doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to accept you. Look at us.
I look around. I see 3 drunk goblins swinging on a bridge.
Killig looks at you. You're damn right! Begins to swing again back and forth as the bridge continues to just fricatedly move. You see the sun begin to crest the edge of the horizon as it makes its way up, and that golden glow begins to dig into the valley and down into the base of the Whitewater Quay that touches the ocean that just spreads out before you. And as the light begins to rise, roll a perception check as you all gaze upon the open morning, and the beauty just begins to set in. "14. You hear it first. With a quick glance downward, you spot the flash of light for a brief moment of a crossbow bolt flying in and up towards you all. You can't quite tell the trajectory of it, but you can tell it's designed for one of you. What do you do?
I shout, incoming, and I like try to like pull whoever's nearest to me like away from the edge of the bridge.
Whoever's nearest to you. Go ahead and roll dexterity.
Nat 20.
Oh my god. You reach forward and you manage to grab both Killig and Yaga. As you pull back, you see Killig, who had been swinging across the bridge this entire time. That bolt flies directly past them and off into the open air. And with your previous check, as you look around, you see two figures standing at the base of the ground looking up towards the group of you, and they wave their hands. They're over here, come on.
Who are these guys? Is this private property?
Everything's owned by somebody. This is the fucking district of the goddess of money. Let's go. As they stand, they turn and begin to rush over towards the open door and slam it open. Come on, hurry up.
I'm the last one.
Go ahead and roll Dex for me. With your previous 22, you have advantage on this check. You are ready. You are focused. Oh my god.
Oh, had to balance out the double nat ones from.
Wow, dual nat 20s for 2 22s. As you grab your friends and you begin to run, you all move with just this vicious speed through the areas. And knowing the back streets of this wharf so well, you follow Pod and Yaga's lead as they all begin to move through the city streets. You hear the humans behind you begin to move inward. Where the fuck did they go? Where are they? As they continue to move and search around, you find yourself in the just serpentine city streets of the wood-covered area. Go ahead and roll survival for me with advantage. Or, your choice, you can help Pod navigate the area, giving him advantage on his check.
I'm helping Pod.
Alrighty. You begin to move through the area, and as you navigate through the serpentine woodwork homes and like just solid oak and plaster buildings, you turn right, you turn left, you serpentine through the area as your footsteps become loud and distant. The people behind you can hear continue to move on stride with you guys, but not catching up, until eventually you find yourselves turned a corner as a large carriage has been backed into the end of this one hallway. Crates stacked up atop. You see Pod stop for a moment. Fuck! Turns and makes his way towards the other side as those humans begin to crest two sides of the same walkway, meeting in the center. He begins to slowly back up alongside the entire group, bringing his hands out, trying to block everybody's line of sight. He just pushes you guys back towards the carriage.
Go, you guys gotta do something. I got this.
Can I look to see if the carriage, can I access any of its like kind of the guts of the carriage to make it like fall apart or like loosen one of the wheels?
Do you have land vehicle proficiencies?
Nope, I do not.
You absolutely can. Go ahead and make a Tinker's Tools check.
Okay. Is that int?
Int plus proficiency if you're proficient, which I believe you are.
Yes, I am. Int.
$14. You reach the other side, and you look upon this large wooden wagon, somewhat ramshackle as most things in this area seem to be. And as you attempt to kind of like look at it, you do see what amounts to the drive shaft on the bottom of it has been frayed and broken and is basically just held in place with a small strip of steel that has just been wound around it. You're looking at it, you're amazed this carriage has survived as long as it can. And like Killig and Yaga look around towards you, you see Killig like shuffles behind Pod and tries to make himself as small as possible. But you note this as those humans begin to move up. You see heavy crossbows in their hands, two other humans in the back making sure no people come this way as they begin to approach. And they're just like,
you thought you could fucking get away with this? Filthy thieves.
Yaga, I need help.
And I kind of like pull my little like smithy hammer, which I'm gonna try to use as a crowbar to peel the steel bar away.
Go ahead and make one more check.
Okay. Same thing?
Yeah.
Am I getting help from Yaga?
You have Let me check this for a second. Yaga. Yaga has tools on him. He will attempt to offer you aid, and you can absolutely have advantage on this. Jesus Christ, 24. Nat 20, 3 in a row, or 3 in a series. Jeez. As you reach down, you're just like, help me out, bud, and you bring your hammer up and just pop the entire, like, the entire carriage breaks down, and then he's like looking at you there with his tools in hand, and is like, oh, you've always been freaky like that, and like begins to just hide once more, as he just kind of like moves over and just gives a wide kick to one of the wheels, bringing the entire carriage down to your guys' height. You see the tarp canvas unravel and begin to flap in the wind as they look, hey, don't move! They point their the crossbows towards the lot of you. You have a choice. You have a route of escape right now. Those humans are on guard. What do you do?
Nimble escape?
All right. The 3 follow lead. They turn, they all begin to rush out towards the exit. Roll. Do you want to give us a layout of Nimble Escape for me?
Well, Nimble Escape itself allows you to hide or disengage as a bonus action on your turn. So what I'm hoping to do is, it's not really a disengage because they have ranged weapons, but try to kind of partially hide as we climb over the wagon, kind of just like shuffling between like whatever contents of the wagon are, or like along the sides of the wagon. They're almost certainly going to shoot at us, but maybe we can kind of have some cover from it.
Absolutely. Here's what I will say that grants you. As you move out and about, and with your repeated successes and your understanding of this, with your quick action, you rush out towards the carriage and throw back the canvas, holding it in place and attempting to partially hide with Nimble Escape outside of view of the humans. They look onwards towards you with frustration and confusion, and as everyone just immediately turns and begins to jump in, you see Pod stands his ground for a few more seconds. But as they look towards you guys escaping, lift the crossbow, launch it, it flies directly by Pod's face as he reaches up and tries to grab it, far too late. Like just attempting literally just to use his hand as the target board. It flies past him and towards all of you. Hitting the edge of the carriage. You see the guy literally throw his heavy crossbow off to the side as it's virtually useless now, and pulls out from his waist the small palm pistol. As he points it towards the lot of you, the 3 of you exit into the area, and Pod closes his eyes. You filthy fucking... Roll perception.
Well,
you turn and look, obscured by the canvas of the carriage. As you see Pod, his arms go slightly slack from the back, and as he stands with a look of confidence and legs that shake in terror, you, 10 feet away, looking onwards towards this human who holds a pistol with a faint grin on his face, manage to close your eyes in time as a blinding light erupts out from behind them. Oh, fuck! They turn around for a brief moment, you hear ring off into the distance. And as they turn and shuffle back, you see celestial wings and a glowing figure that slowly begins to descend upon these humans. And as the wings dissipate from the energy that once sat before them, and a spear holds in place, bringing directly to the side of the human's neck, a golden tattoo begins to spire up towards the eyes of Patience, who looks onwards towards these humans. Pod, you can go now. We got no Fucking, before he even finishes his statement, that spear flips backwards, slams itself into the side of the palm pistol, and flies off. What are you, a crafter? An artisan? I have survived months in oxygen so hot that it burns you like lava, child. You know nothing of what it means to be bound. You will leave them alone. Now, you will turn right at the corner, and you will face judgment. I'm rolling intimidation. The humans look at her for a brief moment. As her celestial visage begins to fade, she holds that spear point towards the throat of the one who just swallows with sweat dripping down. This fucking goblin stole from us. That is not your concern anymore. If I see you ever within 100 feet of them again, you will not survive. They turn. They make their way towards the edge and they walk off with the other humans who had flanked this individual group together and leave. Patience begins to approach. Killian! Pod, Yaga!
I'm rushing forward.
She makes her way up towards Pod as all of you just jump out of the carriage and make your way down into the city streets and look onwards towards Patience, who brings herself down, and you see an immediate shift in her face. Are you alright? Oh my goodness. Are you okay?
We're fine. Pod, are you... Did you
She
get...
leans. Pod's just eyes still closed, shaking, just lowers his guard for a moment and just gives her a pat on the back. Oh my god.
We were just on a bridge. We didn't steal anything.
She immediately looks towards Killick and Pod and Yaga and you, and she can see the flustered look in your face, but Killick stands back with a look of pure bewilderment on theirs. Slowly begins to back up towards the carriage. Killick. It's a lot of gold.
No.
Killick, give it to me. They just move forward, pulling out of their bag. You see this gorgeous, citrine brooch that sits in a platinum band, comes up to a platinum chain, and slowly they just hand it over to Patience, who holds onto it. She looks back towards the area where the humans were, then looks back towards everyone and says, as much as I hate this, we have to do the right thing and return this to its proper owner. But if its proper owners are in prison for a time, at least we can take a little bit of solace in that, can't we? She looks over towards you, towards Pod, and just places her head on top of his, closes her eyes and just sighs, looks towards you, Killian. She says, good job, Killian. If you knew all of this was going to happen, why didn't you warn me sooner?
I didn't... I thought we were just gonna see a sunrise.
She pulls a letter out of the back of her doublet and flips it open. But you wrote me this, and she hands you the letter.
I take it and start reading it.
At the top of the letter, you read, "Hello, my name's Kelly. To whom it may concern, Killian specifically, I represent a god who has become quite a bit interested in you. You'll see enclosed is a series of information on a map with lines and such that will lead you to a location tomorrow morning in the early ... You see crossed out a bunch of words. Morning. If you would kindly meet with us, or meet us mostly. You see it's all crossed out. Sincerely, Kelly. And then you see a small map at the base leading you to the remains of Old Town, an old fort that used to be dug in as the as Amaranth was originally formed.
Oh, I don't get it. This is a message to me.
She grabs it and reads it. She says, "Patience. You're going to have to show up early in the morning. We'll be in danger, Killian." She hands it back to you.
I reread it.
"Hello, my name's Kelly."
Okay. I just had I had a dream, and it seemed like maybe we'd be in trouble.
She
I look nauseous.
Roll deception. You don't have disadvantage because anyone would feel nauseous in this situation. God damn. 19. She looks at you with just the utmost, just pure, eyes, and she just leans in and gives everyone a hug. "Well, we want to watch the sunrise, right?" And she lifts you all up and just pulls you as you see those wings once again ignite behind her, and she just begins to lift up into the air, a faint kind of glimmering glow around her. And you see the left side of the wings begin to just erupt with flame as you guys lift up for a brief moment, and you look out over the wharf once more as the sun begins to lift up. You look over towards all of your goblin compatriots, and they're all like you looking at this, but you see Patience has this look of serenity and happiness as she's enjoying this beautiful moment of sunrise, and everyone else is like, "Not the time or place." And she hovers there for a moment as you all look out over the wonderful sunrise. And the camera begins to pull back as this illuminated just sprite in the distance begins to lift itself up like a beacon over the Whitewater Quay. And here, we will take our first break. We find ourselves now staring down the impossible geometry of Mistra's Tower. Spiraling around the tower, drawing in the ire of the sleeping pseudo-dragon familiars, we zoom past the structure set in the center of the circle and down the alleyways. As we settle on a fine tea shop covered in grapevines and unnaturally large foliage, we go in through open rustic wooden window shutters and spot a figure beginning their day. With a sip of tea from a porcelain cup, a long sigh of relief from the gentle warmth fighting back the early morning chill, the squeak of a wooden chair across fine tile, ekes out a small cry as the open window sends chills through the air of the house. The sign on the door is turned to the front, promising the very same warmth to the tired masses of Amaranth as the Lavender Cafe opens for business. We see a muscular half-orcish woman in a flourishing and colorful emblazoned apron well clashing with her general aesthetic, preparing for another workday. Jojo, would you describe your character, please?
You see Jojo, she has the side of her head shorn with her locks pulled up and tied, and most of them are loose and hanging at different lengths. She's got a piercing on her nose and on her eyebrow, and she has a shark tooth necklace that she's wearing, and also she has these gauges that are carved wood and quite tribal looking. And her clothes underneath this apron are, baggy, a bunch of browns and blacks in color and sort of cheap looking. And as she starts cutting cucumbers for these delightfully cute sandwiches.
You move back towards the kitchen as you hear the heavy-set footfalls descending the stairs from the top of the home above the cafe. Desperately attempting to muffle the pained calls of the wooden steps underneath, a large, pale purple furred firbolg, barely fitting within the wooden walkways, peers around the corner, adjusting these small rounded spectacles. He sighs in relief as he takes the final step of the stairs that just creaks out its last morning call, and he looks up the stairs to see if that awoke anybody. After a few seconds, he begins to move forward. Jojo, good morning. How's everything going?
Yeah, it's great. As good as it's every morning. Do you need me to fix those stairs again? They sound like shit.
Now, that language is not necessary. You know this.
What, I can't say that the stairs sound like shit? They sound like shit, Ron.
They sound loud. They cry out, but it's my fault. It's our fault. I'm still getting used to the concept of mine, which reminds me, your mother wanted me to remind you to remind me to take the money when people pay for things.
Yeah, you should definitely do that.
It's only been a few years, so I'll get there. Now, he turns towards the door. Oh, the sign's open already. Well, that's wonderful, isn't it? And he makes his way into the kitchen. As you hear the sound of people beginning to come into the cafe. The door swings open and you hear the faint bell just boom above as people begin to move in and kind of sit down and just call out towards the chef/service. Ron begins to move in and throws like a cloth over his hand, and he holds it there despite the fact that there's no reason for it to be there. Like purely a decorative cloth as he moves up and begins to take orders. Jojo, that'll be 3 early morning, please.
Okay. She gets to work on it.
2 cucumber sandwiches as well.
She's already sort of prepped all the material for that, so she puts that together. Sort of like slaps it together. There's probably like way too many cucumbers in this one, and the other one has way too much of like the mayo spread. And she like places them, and they're all crooked on the plate.
Roll a d20.
Okay.
Nice. You approach and you see these fairly hoity-toity people who arrive, and they sit down wearing very fine silks. And as they kind of begin to just look around, you also see this just haggard dude, head slumped over, eyes half open, and just bags underneath, wearing like a kind of orange cotton vest over top of the shirt that's poorly tucked in, and these long trousers. And he sits down at the edge of the table and just looks over towards the Fearbulg as he calls them over and asks for a menu. You hear just the faint like mumbles off in the corner as you bring the food down and you set the plates down. These just like slapdash sandwiches and 2 cups of early morning.
There you go. Orders up.
Excuse me, we heard that the Prince Broderick had visited here not too long ago. Is that true?
They look down towards the plates.
And this is what he ordered?
I don't remember.
They look towards each other briefly.
I think I remember everyone's orders. We don't have a giant
part of your
menu,
job,
but
yes? The key portion of it.
Well, I know what people order when they order it, and then I deliver it to them, and then that's pointless knowledge now, so get out of there. Yeah. You need anything else?
Shortly, I imagine.
Okay, great. She goes back.
You see Ron walk up towards the table, and it's just like, what a lovely woman she. Do you know? I remember when she was just so and just begins speaking to them as they're like, and you make your way into the back room. As soon as you reach the door and you begin to push through the saloon style doors into the back kitchen, you're, I'd like to order something if you don't mind, just back here. Ron begins to move and he's like, no, not you. You're working with someone. I'd like a half-orc lady, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah. And she goes over to this guy. This is the tired guy?
Yeah. A menu, if you don't mind. Can't help but notice you don't have one on you.
Yeah. And she goes over and grabs them and brings it back. Here you go.
He reaches his hand out. You like toss it and he grabs it, like just clumsily, and begins to look. Pauses for a second, looks at you, and is like, I'll let you know when I'm ready.
Okay, up there, that's high caffeine. Okay, and she goes back.
Where's the low caffeine, if you don't mind my asking?
It's low on the page. It's very intuitive.
Why do you separate the cups around the food? Why do you do that? I'm just saying it'd make more sense to put the food at the bottom and the cups up top, yeah?
Ron, this guy's got some ideas about the menu.
Well, just seems right basic to me, doesn't it? And then he just begins to sit back. I'll let you know when I'm ready. You turn and you begin to make your way towards the kitchen. He's like, I'm ready if you don't mind.
She's like just about to start cutting more cucumbers. Okay, yeah.
Right, yeah, it's pretty good. 1 cup of early morning with a little bit of sweetness, 2 satchels of mixed nuts, 3 half-finger sandwiches, 2 strawberry tarts, no custard on one, custard on the other, half dozen cream tarts, no dust, 1 slice of elderberry tart with chocolate mousse, a large cup of water, 2 lemon wedges, star cut, all of which in a to-go box, purple ribbon, please. And he hands you the menu.
Should I roll?
Investigation, please. Ooh, that was a wonderful harmony.
14?
14? As a server of 14, you listen to that briefly and you kind of manage to jumble up a little bit of the specifics. But you're looking, you're like, okay, he wants stars, 1 to have 50-50, no, not bad. And you begin to make your way into the back, but as you crest the corner, you see your mother descending the stairs quickly, kind of throwing everything on. She reaches over and grabs a small kind of scone that's been outset in the side for her from Ron, and she looks over towards you all. Good morning.
Morning.
Ron, did you tell her to remember the money?
Yeah.
All right, I have a study group that I'm late to. She reaches over and kind of gives you a peck on the cheek and then begins to move.
Do you need more food than that? You don't know how long you're gonna be, yeah?
I'll eat when I end up needing the sustenance, I imagine.
I'll come visit you later.
Hopefully we can meet up this time. She looks around the tea house for a moment and looks back to you. Have any elves visited the shop recently?
No, not that I remember.
All right, that's good.
How recent? Are you talking a week? Because we've had some in the last week. None today.
You see she sets down her packages and turns towards you, and even just offering you this moment when typically she would be out the door by now feels odd to you. She's like, how recently did they visit?
I'm like, and she thinks 4 days lunch. Is this about Mira?
No. There's nothing. Your sister's doing rather fine. Exceptionally well, actually. If I were to say that. Anyway, but yes, I have to go. Service with a smile.
Her tusks are just
It forms a wonderful upwards trend.
Yeah, that's what you
Would
tell
you
me.
sketch that later? There seems to be some kind of formula in there. I have to go. She grabs her stuff and makes her way towards the door. It's in the ark, honey. And then the doors close towards the entrance.
Okay.
You got my food yet?
Yeah, it's coming. She starts working really fast on that.
Go ahead and make a dexterity check to cook these in rapid pace.
Dexterity check. It is a check with dexterity.
Accurate song.
I
love it.
The universe did not enjoy your song.
Oh, you and I.
I'm not a bard this campaign.
You take your time as you begin to craft the food lovingly. People come and go, and Ron moves in and out as you work on the large order, and you see him kind of just expertly chopping. He reaches for some green onions and just waves a hand as you see the onions themselves begin to sprout, and he just chops it off at the last moment and just begins to tear into these orders of the customers, just sitting there with a whistle and a smile as this just hulking furry behemoth sits there cooking hunched over in the small kitchen. And as you finally manage to bring everything together, you put the box, you remember the purple bow. As you come up towards the table of the individual who's just sitting there, his eyes are kind of closed, and he's just like,
Order up. She like slams down the table and wakes up.
He listens for a sec and looks out the window. You're like fucking slow, ain't you?
She starts listing off the order. Is that right? I did not. Candace?
Not bad.
Did not. I zoned out as soon as she started listing things.
Totally acceptable. It's pretty good. He didn't mention no dust on the cream tarts, but that's all right. I'm sure that'll be fine. Do you like dust on your cream tarts? Just asking, because like, who does?
I mean, you're talking about a dusting of like sugar, right?
Yeah,
like
You do work in a cafe, right?
Well, you know, when you just say dust, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't want fucking dust on my cream tarts. These fuckers over here with the stupid cucumber sandwiches want dust in their food.
Yeah, that's why we don't
paid for that.
Dusty.
You know what? Slams down a small spattering of platinum coins, 18 of them in total. There's your fucking payment, and he turns and just storms his way out the door.
Come again. And she takes the gold.
You reach down, you grab the coins. The second you grab them and lift them up, they're gritty. As you lift up the coins and look at them, roll a perception check, please. Actually, investigation.
Investigation.
You've been had.
Oh, this bastard. 16?
16. You look at these coins, and as you do, you see the glamour upon them dissipate to reveal wooden tokens in the shape of a platinum coin.
Bastard. Okay.
What you also notice as you look at these coins is that there is a single symbol written out in common on each of them.
What's it say?
You begin to shuffle them around, and with your previous investigation check, you place them on the table, and they read out one long sequence as people in the back are like, "Excuse me, I would like to get my meal, if you please."
Yeah, hang on.
Right, yes. You just kind of shirk back. Written out in common, it reads, "Your payment is outside."
Oh, hang on. She goes outside. Is there any weapons by the door?
Roll perception.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Typically, your dueling hatchet is there.
Okay, nice.
However, as you have previously, seen repeatedly, Ron takes that hatchet and is like, "This isn't right for customers," and he just places it kind of off to the side. You kind of move and in just one fluid motion scoop up that dueling hatchet, flipping it around, and you make your way out as you push open the entrance to the cafe and make your way down the steps.
Some loops in my apron. One has a spoon and a pencil, and then there's my hatchet right now.
Battle apron.
Yes, battle apron.
Yeah, as you begin to move down the wooden steps, you see off to the side, in the middle of the walkway, as people begin to gather and murmurs, what do you think that is? What is this, some kind of art display? You see three individuals, kind of this pale gray skin that leads up almost to an azure tint, wearing black leathers. And you see faint bits of them attempt to shift and obscure themselves in this just illusory magic as they are forced down to the ground. You see the ground itself buckled slightly under the weight of this strange gravity, this bubble that just hovers over them. And just stabbed into the top of one of the a shield that sits on the back of one of these three figures is a small dagger with a note. The people around are just kind of looking at it, and you see one person standing there, pale blue skin, just looking at it with cocked eyes. Brilliant. Turns and begins to move away.
Yeah, she goes up, takes the paper.
Yeah, as you approach, you see this just ball of gravity that is just crushing these people down, fully unconscious. And as you approach, you look in and you can see the obscurement, the refraction through this strange gravity bubble.
I can tell this is an illusion.
It's not. As you reach your hand in, you feel the weight bear down on you for a brief moment. Roll strength.
Strength. Oh, 9.
9. You reach in. Your hand is just immediately dropped to the ground, and you pull back as you feel the crushing weight on it, and you hear,
Shit. And you've described me. I'm just like on the ground now. My hand is just like.
Oh yeah, you reached your hand in, and it immediately was like pushed down, and you pulled your hand back out of the bubble.
So, there's 3 figures in the gravity bubble.
Yes.
And they're all unconscious.
Yes.
My hand's being crushed.
You pulled your hand out of the bubble.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was confuzzled. What's this note say?
As you rip it free from the dagger, looking down upon the 3 dark elven people that are literally just being compressed into the solid stone underneath, the people begin to gather and gawk at this new installation outside of the Lavender Cafe, and you pop open the note that reads, "These 3 were real bad. Just tried to kill your mum. I stopped them. There's the payment. Next time, no dust. My name's Kelly. I represent a god." And as he, like, the initial statement begins to bear down on the paper, you see it, the writing gets smaller and smaller to fit the note in. As it's just like, "I was hoping that I represent a god that was trying to," and it just continues until you see a small drawing.
Takes out some glass.
A small drawing including directions down to Old Town, the old fort that used to be, etc.
Ron! She goes in and tells Ron, there's some guys, there's some elves outside that are being crushed by some gravity.
Did they order any?
No, they were trying to kill Mom. Apparently,
I'm
according to
sorry.
this note. She was asking
Not my
about some
tribe.
elves.
Reaches over and grabs
Yeah,
the
yeah,
staff
yeah.
and just begins to move towards the doorway. Jojo, do you have your axe? Good. And he just makes his way, bursts the door open.
They're like, yeah, you can see they're like that. That guy that ordered that purple bow shit, and he left his note. Yeah. He left his note.
We don't say purple in this house.
He did this apparently. This is apparently the payment. He wants me to go to Old Town. She hands him the note.
He looks at it for a moment. Ooh. Rogean. Gordo.
Is he speaking giant?
Yes.
What's he saying? I speak giant.
This has a scent of destiny about it. And also turmeric. Closes it, hands the note back to you. Why are you... Nothing that was ordered today involved turmeric in the recipes, Jojo.
I had a tea this morning and I wanted turmeric in it. You know, I was feeling a little... My run this morning, my feet were swollen and, you know, yeah.
That's on me. I should not have assumed. As the camera pulls up and out, the 2 of you, like one arm over the other, are led back in as the camera pulls back and you see the drow still being crushed there as the guards begin to move in and disperse the people from the area. A very finely dressed wizard approaches and just casts a dispel magic from a large staff that looks incredibly powerful and potent with a grand display, and nothing happens. And you hear him just like... Once again, incant, nothing happens, the ball remains. And this continues for a few minutes until eventually the ball dissipates, and then the wizard's like, yes, of course. And we pull away.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
No, go ahead.
I didn't see an Ashfall on that guy that ordered all that stuff, right?
Not that you're aware of.
Okay.
The early morning gives way. And as we leave the small tea shop, we fly to the west. Over the buildings to a change of the methodical placement. You see slapdash buildings inlaid upon each other with bridges back and forth. A vibrant and colorful district of stone. The sun once again, throughout the day, rises and moves over the city, and as it casts long shadows once more sets upon Ishtar's district, as it flares to life, and we close in on an old but meticulously cared for building. A single knight in tight-fitting mail with leathers underneath brings a rose medallion, sets a red rose on the front door. As we fly in, customers abound through and up the stairs. Amid the laughter, the long, beautiful song that echoes through the halls and the thick scent of incense, and amid the sight of crimson, gold, and purple curtains that hang lavishly in the top corner of the Black Sheep, one chestnut wood door on the second floor receives a light rap. And on the interior of the room, Bianca, would you describe your character, please?
Sure. So as the camera swings in, you see a tall, wide-skinned man sitting at a desk in his room. I'm currently wearing a lovely dark blue satin dress shirt, a pair of dark gray dress pants with matching dress shoes. Very important. Currently reading a few documents, signing them here and there. And as I lean over, I brush my umbra blue hair behind my horns. I lean down to sign one of the documents, and that's when I hear the knock at the door. And without turning around to address the person or getting up from my work, I simply just say out loud,
"Come in."
Waiting for the door to open and the person to come in. Just hearing shuffling of feet, still not getting up from my work at all. I simply just say,
"Now, Rosa, darling, we've talked about this. You know I'm not to be disturbed before my shift starts. And I get it. If I knew someone of my stature was simply sitting upstairs, I'd want to use them all the time as well. But even perfection needs its rest, sweetheart. So what is it?"
As the piercing green eyes and fiery red hair and tan skin of this young and vivacious Rosalind Bell moves through the room, she looks at you for a brief moment with a hefty sigh that cuts through the tone as the doorway closes and the music begins to die down from the muffling of the solid wood between you. She moves up towards you and sits down.
"Vincent, there is a problem. People are at the front door. They've asked for you."
She leans in and whispers,
"She said they asked for the Goldwater boy. I don't think this is in a preference way. They are a little bit, well, two of them are bound. Divers. We should be careful."
Okay, well, if you need my assistance, I can of course help. Vincent stands up, goes over to the like a shirt hanging on the wall, takes it off, it's a vest, sorry, and puts it on, goes back over to his room and, or his desk, and arranges a couple of papers, and turns around and looks at Rosa and simply just says, "So how do I look?"
Flawless as always.
"Good. Then let's go."
You make your way towards the door. With your perception, you pick up the sounds of heavy footfalls moving inwards. And
"Which way? Which door?"
as you hear the voice of a familiar worker at the Black Sheep, who, in this strange kind of just distant,
"Far back. Left corner. Second floor." "Right, thank you."
The footsteps begin to approach the doorway, and you hear all of this going down, leading up towards you. What do you do?
I'm just going to continue forward, being casual and just kind of walking towards them. There are the voices.
So you open your bedroom door and leave the bedroom, move forward.
Mhm.
Rosa begins to follow you. Roll grapple, athletics or acrobatics. A solid 5. As you move forward. You kind of like stride for a brief moment, and this like confidence that sits within you. You feel this just massive meaty fist grab onto you that feels all but stone itself, and just lurches backwards as you are shoved back into the doorway of your own room. And you see this one massive individual with just pale blue skin and these just solid red tattoos that seem to be born in their skin alone, moves forward, pale yellow eyes, as this 7-foot tall Goliath makes way into the room. And behind them, a very well dressed, but in a tuxedo, which feels a little odd for most situations, wielding a small wand that they hold kind of gingerly in their fingertips, move into the room and sit down. You see the Goliath stands with the symbol of their god emblazoned in their forehead. Go ahead and roll religion for me. You don't recognize it in the slightest. As you look upon this, it's literally just a Harry Potter thunderbolt. As it just kind of carves through. Not sponsored by Harry Potter. And as we look upon these two individuals that make their way into the room, the door closes once more behind, and they move forward.
Well, this is one way to start a conversation, but you will have to pay extra for this. I just kind of like eye the Goliath up and down.
I don't think that will be necessary. Usually I come on positive terms to business, but this time, maybe a little bit less so. I would like you to send a message to your grandfather that if you are ever to set foot in our fucking homes again, it will be all-out war.
I feel like there's been a little bit of confusion here, but do you mind? And I'll gesture at the hand holding me. I'm not going to harm any of you, of course.
No, we know that. They pops open a small ledger and opens it. Unbound. Couldn't harm a fly. Looks around. Very quaint house, if I do say so. Now, I suppose I would have expected more from someone of your station. He slams down an amulet on the table. There's no point in trying to play coy. We have multiple eyewitness accounts of a wine-skinned tiefling entering into, both by land and boat, the Seafoam Island, which was, coincidentally, shut down no more than a few days ago. How did you manage it?
I have many tricks up my sleeve, but going over there when I don't have any business doesn't really seem like a valuable time spent. That wasn't me.
Roll persuasion.
Oh, never mind. Ignore that. Okay. The first one was the silver tongue by accident.
As I've said, we have multiple eyewitness accounts. I don't personally know very many wine-skinned tieflings that have anything to do with the Goldwater family name. Do you? How many? How many drops of black are there in the Goldwater, do you think?
No, but if I had to guess, I'd incline that, well, me and my grandpapa don't really get along. They could have used me as a cover if they felt like it.
They did say you were good.
Your reputation precedes you, and unfortunately that's your undoing. Snaps his finger. You see the Goliath behind, reaches a hand out, and just cuts down on his arm. As blood begins to drip, he reaches down and grabs onto it and just draws it into a thin dagger. As he holds it, flips it in his hand and kind of stands. Regardless of anything, you will be delivering this message to your grandfather.
And we'll make sure you don't forget.
waves his hand, and you see the Goliath begin to move forward. What do you do? Rosa begins to move off to the side now as she was kind of hidden in the back and just moves forward. None of this happens in my... No, this is my establishment. If you want to do shit like this, you take this somewhere else.
Can Vincent try to just slip? Is the Goliath going into grapple again?
As he holds the dagger, it seems like he's going into, like, hold on to you, and some danger is approaching.
Yeah, I'd like to try dodge out of the way, possible.
Go ahead and roll acrobatics or athletics for me. As you move in, he reaches for you, grabs onto the top of your collar, and you slip back just in time, kind of in this just solid maneuver as you both tie. And you kind of like duck back for a brief moment. As the Goliath begins to move forward, you see fingers reach out over the shoulders of the individuals and just kind of move down towards the collarbone. Right, that's about enough of that now, don't we think? It seems a little excessive, doesn't it?
Oh, my guess.
Oh, yeah, sorry to bring a threesome into this one. As he, like, reaches his hands down, he's like, lads, right, I think I forgot something at CERN. Just a little bit to the north. Would you mind swimming there for me and getting it? You see the one individual looks towards him, and with a faint glimmer of stardust in the eyes, of course.
Do I notice that?
Roll perception. Ooh, 20. You see the stardust in the eyes as the larger one looks down towards him. Similar glow kind of pours over the face, and then they both look towards him. He says, "CERN is a long way away. Yeah, you can handle it, right? You know me." Yes, you. Yes, I do. You are. Right, yeah, don't strain too hard. Just get the fuck out. And the two of them turn and look towards you. You see him like reach for the amulet for a brief moment, and then he's like, "You don't need that."
Yes, darlings. Go get your job done, and we'll continue this discussion another time.
They just like look at you with daggers for a brief moment. As the Goliath lets go, you see the blood just drop and hit the ground and just splatter across your like fine carpet with the just almost insultingly, and the two leave the room, close the door.
Don't worry about it. I'll make sure to send the bill.
Yeah, and we're gonna include a little bit more too. Was that clever? I don't know. I'm not good at this.
It was amicable.
Yeah, all right, I'll take it. All right, listen here.
Well, thank you. I don't believe we've met, but you were a little bit of an assistance. I'll turn to look at Rosa. Is this a new knight for the Rosetta?
No, as far as I know, you were supposed to meet with, well, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't divulge guest information with strangers. Who are you? Yeah, right, yeah, I was reaching for something, and he pulls out of his waistband a letter. I wasn't actually supposed to make too much contact, but I've been really shit at this recently. And he hands you the letter. I represent, well, I'll let you read it.
Vincent goes over and just plucks the paper from his hand and goes to read it and just eyes it up and down.
Yeah, with each word that you read, he begins to speak aloud to the letter as though he's rehearsed it. And he's like, "Hello, my name's Kelly. I represent a god that's taken some interest in you. Not because of your lineage or anything, because you seem rather yourself. So if you're interested, here you go." And then he writes down the same directions that we have seen leading out of the Black Sheep around the corner, and it takes a small detour towards a small cafe that is marked as Lavender Cafe that circles around and down towards Old Town. And he's like, "Oh, sorry," tears off that paper, gives you another one. "Sorry, that was mine. Here's a fresh drawing." As you have a straight cut from where you are into basically a forest with nothing but, as far as you remember, ruins and ancient defenses that have been unused for hundreds of years.
Well, this was not quite what I was expecting when I woke up this morning, but To be honest, it's just about time. Kelly, I presume, darling.
You presume correctly, yes.
Well, I don't really have anything planned for tomorrow specifically, so I can definitely put this in the schedule.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I'll make sure to let my god know that you're a willing participant. Some people tell me I'm a little bit ominous, but I'm not. So he turns
You're
and
quite cute, if I had to put it into words.
I haven't gotten that one before, but I'll take it. Thank you. He makes his way towards the door. It's a nice door. Here, let me get this.
Just one thing. Those ruffians that were here earlier, how long will your spell last on them? I assume they'll come back.
Somewhere close to a day. They'll be in the middle of the ocean by then. If I know Goliath.
The sharks, don't deal with them. I'll make sure to alert the guards. Thank you.
This is a good idea. Sharks. And then he just begins to make his way out the door. You can keep that amulet.
Oh, thank you.
You turn and you look back towards the small table where the amulet was placed, and it's not there.
Oof. Hard to get. Well, we'll discuss next time. Rosa, sorry about that, but it seems luck was on our side today.
What happened to our bouncers? Where are the Red Rose? No, I have people to talk to. She turns and begins to move towards the door and just slams it closed. You look down towards the ground, and the blood slowly is beginning to just like dissipate up into the air, flecks into red dust and dissipates into mist.
Vincent just looks over at, I picture the dagger just like clipping a part of his vest as it came in, and he just looks down and he's like, I have to get this tailored again.
As the camera pulls out through your room, the sound of the door opening once more as you see a kind of like just well-dressed individual looking around. Rosa just left in a hurry. Did something happen?
Sorry, who's talking to him?
This is... I'm forgetting the name. This is your next client. Thank you, Alexei.
Oh, Alexei, darling. It's nothing for you to be interested in. Here, come in. You're a little early, as usual.
Well, I will. And he closes the door behind him. Camera lifts up and away, and this is the end of my little
Please
narration.
tell me that was an innuendo, Bianca, or did you do that by accident? Because that was amazing.
It was what an innuendo, so it was probably by
You always come a little early.
That was a complete accident.
I hope so. Amazing. Incredible. Okay.
As the night finally falls over the city of Amaranth, and a new day awakens, the aforementioned day that begins with a long and drawn-out walk. Each of you awakens in the early morning, and you begin to move. Patience at first takes you, Killian, to a degree until basically reaching the end of the Deanery, and taking a hard left into Tiamat's district as you separate. Ron wishes you an early morning with a low and guttural kind of like just chant towards you as he ushers you out for success in battle or wonder of discovery.
Remember to tell Mira that she's got to pick up Yuka, okay?
I'll make sure not to tell her that you said it.
Yeah, that's probably best.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's been a little flustered lately.
I'll boo-hoo.
Back to it.
Okay, bye.
It's this chant once more as you make your way out. Customers who approach are just like, whoop, turn around and begin to leave. Vincent, you make your way out of the Black Sheep in the early morning. And as Alexei takes off in the early morning as well with his guard's armor set on, you begin to make your way through quite early in the morning. And Matilda, yours is the longest walk by far, but Palm Hum has chartered you for the most part this carriage that had been brought to the area
to the harvest ward in front of your home that meets you in the early AM. And as the guy at the front's like, pick.
I just walk in the carriage.
Righto, ready? We're going now. As the gnomish individual just slaps the top of the reins, and these two, you would fully expect horses, but you actually just see two metallic spheres begin to rotate as you were taken down the city streets and towards Old Town.
Oh man, I like a picture with Mim Bam, the horse Orb. It's like, oh look, it's Orb. The horse.
You guys, one by one, at different times of the day, begin to make your passage through this old forest, a fine trodden path that carries in and through the older sections of the city. And as the early morning continues, and you all look around at these interesting locations, none of you have ever had a reason to be here before. This is basically a historical site, like going to visit one of the castles in early England. Most people are just like, I've lived here all my life and I've never gone. So as you guys begin to move, everyone roll a dexterity check to see who is the first to arrive.
Is it raining or is that just rustling trees?
It's rustling in the trees.
Cool.
You said dexterity, yeah?
Indeed.
Oh yeah, nope. It's just what it is.
That seems accurate. Vincent's just drooling. Wow. Jojo replaced her morning run with this, so she's just running the whole way.
Just full tilt. As you make your way through, you're following the directions with a T, and as you crest the last bit of forest, you look around and you see this fine wooden log cabin that is inset into the side of the forest that seems much newer than the rest. Behind it, you can see a hand-paved path that leads off into the distance, deeper into the forest. And as you look in and onward, you step forward and you hear pass over your ears. And as you look back, the pathway that you had taken is replaced with a distant forest, dense and impenetrable.
Nice. Yeah, great. Okay. She takes out the shark tooth sword. Do I still see the deep, orc feet path that I made? Like, my non-graceful, just stompy running?
No, behind you now is just forest. It's like you're standing at the edge of an incredibly thick thicket of trees.
She continues forward.
You make your way up towards the cabin. And at this point, as you reach the end, and you look upon the oaken door, Matilda, your carriage kind of reaches the as far as a carriage can take you along this path before it becomes basically untraversable, and you begin to walk too as you see the log cabin off in the distance. Nobody standing in front of it. You see a faint plume of smoke out of the top that kind of rises into the sky.
I feel like I'm a little bit late. There might have been some roadkill on the road and I made them stop so I could pick it up. It's like a dead crow dangling off of my bag. so I can take it home and let it do its thing. But
do we see each other?
You don't.
No? Okay.
Go ahead and do the thing.
There's a house with a door, right?
There is, yes. And as you live and breathe, that is a house, and there is a door. As you begin to move forward with your passive,
I look for traps or any tricks or things. Pom Pom is a Fey Pack patron, so I've always been never walk somewhere without checking for any weird fairy rings or anything that is bad. So I'm just looking around, making sure it's safe.
Go ahead and roll for this one, Arcana.
Okay. Let's see. Arcana, that is dirty 20. Oh no, hold on, sorry, no, that's a 6.
Well, yeah.
Haha. It looked like a 20 when I was looking at it. So 6, not very good.
Yeah, you stride forward, you make your way over to the edge, and as you pass into the threshold of the area just through a small wooden fence, you hear and now you spot a half orc on the other side. Jojo, you hear that same strange distant sound, and you turn around at a start to see this human girl with brown hair looking around, a dead crow at her waist.
Are you like a forest witch or something? Did you do that?
No,
She's pointing like a shark tooth sword at you.
don't point that at me.
No.
I just roll my eyes and I walk towards the door.
What do I know about the history of Old Town?
Go ahead and roll history for me. 15. Initially, it was said that Old Town was created as a fort for Amaranth, but as far as you recall from the knowledge that your mother has kind of said in passing, and she's basically spoken about the entire city at length as it interests her immensely. But this place was basically a satellite community for the royalty to send their people to in the off chance that anything were to happen negatively to the city. Old Town was actually a large reason why Amaranth did not fall against Dianthus for so many years during the 100-Year War. And as you see this person that strides past you, Matilda, you place a hand on the door, completely unlocked. It just slowly opens.
I didn't notice the enchantments. So now we're at the mercy of this weird house, so we might as well go through the door. I just slam it open.
Are we? Oh, great. I guess we're a we now. Okay, hang on, Forest Witch. She starts calling her.
At this point, Vincent, you have taken the morning to take in the beauty of the forest as you pass through it. But now you see the small log cabin off in the distance as you round the corner.
I stride up and I look down and I'm just like, these were not the shoes to be wearing here today. And just look around and I'm like, well, I was expecting something a little more, but frankly, they usually surprise you. And just kind of continue forward. Do I see the other two off in the distance?
You don't, but since you were moving at a slow pace, you can roll perception with advantage here.
Oh, nice.
23. As you begin to move forward, you reach the membrane of this bubble that encircles the area, and as you stop, you kind of see it in front of you. You run your fingers along it, and you can see the faint sparks of energy, but it's pliable and doesn't in any way attempt to stop you from moving through.
I'm gonna lean over and pick up a rock and throw it at it.
Roll an attack roll.
Magic fights back. Oh shit!
20.
You take the rock and you throw it, and it just flies in. The two of you, as soon as all right, Forest Witch, let's. Side window just smashes with the rock against the side, as it just flies in from nowhere.
Do I hear that?
You don't. You hear nothing on your end.
Under attack, get in!
As you threw the rock as well, as soon as it passes through the threshold, gone.
I didn't react. I just kept walking while you were
Jojo gets in, closes the door behind them.
At this point, Killian, you approach and you see this tiefling kind of standing at the end of this. You can see the faint warbling before you as you begin to approach, and you just kind of see it as soon as you round the corner. And then you see this tiefling standing there musing.
Hello. I was invited here. I'm not trespassing.
Oh, guests. You were invited as well. Interesting. It seems recruitment has gone out.
What is this?
I don't know. Care to take a guess? Oh, darling, what's your name? This is so awkward.
My name's Killian. What's yours? And I like thrust a hand out to like shake.
Vincent kneels down, or not kneels, but like bends down to be by height and just shakes her hand. Vincent Goldwater, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
He stands up again. There seems to be some sort of magical barrier ahead. Didn't seem to evaporate anything I've put through it thus far. Do you care to take a go?
I like look around to see if there's anyone like hiding in the trees.
Roll perception. Do you have proficiency in the survival skill?
No.
Okay. Perception, please, and thank you. You look around and you attempt to gauge the area, but with all of these kind of strange situations around you, that just like unsettling anxiety is sitting in, and you can't seem to focus. You can hear boom, 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 boom in your ears.
Have you tried throwing anything through it?
Yeah, a rock or two. Like I said, nothing happened. It just disappeared. I guess it's an illusion. I'll cast minor illusion in front. See? It'll stick his hand through it.
Okay. I find like a stick on the ground, and I poke it.
The end of the stick disappears, but as you pull it back, the stick remains like fully intact.
I like touch it to see if it's hot or cold.
Ever so slightly, you die. No, nothing happens. Nope, still the exact same.
Okay. I turn to Vincent. I say, "We could go through together."
I'll have your back.
Okay. Killian like holds her breath and closes her eyes and walks through the portal or whatever this is.
Yeah, you hear the as Vincent, you watch Killian just disappear in front of you.
Can I incite her movements? Did she seem like she was in pain, or did she seem, her normal self?
Roll insight.
I am in pain, but not for the reasons you think.
I might find out those reasons.
Yeah, as why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your current state of mind?
Well, Killian has gone through weird magic things before, and it was a traumatic experience. But she's terrified, but she's convinced that she has to do this. So she's just kind of like forcing her way through. She's like tensing her entire body, but it's not like pain. She's not feeling physical pain, or at least not showing any signs of physical pain as she walks through.
Well, I guess a test of faith. You better be worth it. I'll just walk through.
At this point, Jojo, who I imagine has been probably like just sidled up and watching out through the window. We're under attack.
Yeah.
You spot those two individuals kind of passing through. Matilda, what are you doing in this log cabin? As the two of you enter in, first off, you see the interior of the log cabin. Single floor, handmade. You can see two bedrooms off to the side, basically made of pale white mortar and logs inset, like just heavily placed down with metal banding. You see three sofa benches surrounding a central cooking pot in the center with a roaring flame underneath, the small plume leading up to an almost Nordic-style chimney in the center of the house that is funneling everything out. You see two forward-facing windows, one of which now shattered. And as you turn around, you see a large bay window that leads out into like a beautiful vista of shattered space. You see floating chunks of island that are just drifting endlessly. You see massive silhouettes of humanoid figures that dwarf even planets slowly drifting off into the distance. And in the front window, you now see a small goblin in work attire and a tiefling in fine silks.
I look for like any surfaces and I run my fingers along them. Do I collect any dust?
It is immaculately clean.
People have been here. It's too clean. This isn't abandoned.
Incoming.
Oh, great. And I go walk towards the starry scape window and I start to inspect it.
Roll investigation.
Can I help? I see you're doing that. And
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll with advantage.
Okay.
I'm also proficient. Nice.
Intelligent. So
Very
you said
nice.
it was an investigation or intelligence?
Investigation.
Investigation. 23.
23.
Plus 4.
As you glance through, you can see the illusion itself. And as you kind of strain, just barely, you manage to spot through it to the forest beyond. And you can see this faint illusion kind of just wavering. It still sets there in the window, but you can tell it's purely decorative.
This is just fancy decoration. And I continue to look around.
It's a decoration for a rune.
Oh.
Vincent and Killian, at this point, you reach the front door and you see the shattered window. You can hear two people kind of speaking on the interior of the cabin.
I open my eyes and take a breath
Oh,
and say,
closed.
I've been invited here. I'm not trespassing.
Oh, darling, take a breath. I'll walk up next to Killian and just kind of eye the house up and be like, this needs work, and walk through the door. It's open, right?
Yep.
It's closed. Oh.
Well, not
I
locked.
Jojo had
but-
closed it. No.
Yeah, no lock on this door. Funny enough. But as you reach forward, push it open, you begin to stride in. And as the four of you spot each other, at this point, you hear the faint movement of like a slowly stirring pot in the center of the room as you spot a figure who's sitting there, the same kind of ragged looking figure who had previously seen some of you, and a voice that you all recognize begin to bellow out. Oh, it's good that you're all here now.
Oh, Kelly, darling, you couldn't have let us meet somewhere a little more spacious, less spacious, I guess. I don't know.
I'll make
Something
sure
not broken.
I will build my next log cabin to more large specifications when we get to that. For now, though, all right. This is everyone. All right, this is good. If you have a seat here, I brought snacks.
And he places down the purple box that you had previously packed up for him, Jojo, and opens it up. He's like, cream tarts with dust. He hands it out. Anyone?
Why
With
would
a dusting
anyone?
of sugar.
Oh.
With a dusting of sugar.
Oh.
You seem to be quite informed in these pastry facts.
Yeah, well, I made the box.
Oh, you are working together. How cute.
You made the box too.
Well, I folded the box.
That's like origami. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I know who you are, and this lovely little bud over here is Killian. My name is Vincent Goldwater. Who are you two?
I'm Jojen Makes.
I'm Matilda.
You can call me
Interesting,
Jojo.
if you wish.
He sits down.
I haven't been entirely forthright with you. While I said my name was Kelly, it's not though. So, it's nice to meet you officially.
And plate takes the spoon out of the pot and just kind of like wipes off every little bit of soup back into the pot and places the spoon like gingerly on a small plate to the side.
My name is Lavos. It's a pleasure to meet you, finally. I've been around for a time, and I don't represent a god, right? And I don't like these labels. Because frankly, I'm not a fan of gods. But I am one, so that's what we got to work with.
I think at that point, Vincent just goes over and kind of leans against the wall.
So you're a contrarian.
Somewhat. I'm not entirely a fan of literary terms either. But I'm somewhat well read. Please continue using them. It will make me grow as a human.
But you're not a human.
No, see, now we're full circle. I like how things work like that. Yeah, I'm a god. I brought you all here for a few reasons. One, I guess you could call me new to town, right? I've been looking for something of a family. And I spotted you lot, and I thought, well, fuck, there's a good family right there, isn't it? Sometimes I'm born of whims. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, what exactly got your attention about us? Please do share.
How did you know that we were gonna get attacked?
Oh, I wrote that real fast. I kind of just sent it back to Patience before she was in the morning. Does that make sense? I wrote it, I was around the corner and watching it. I can explain a little bit better. One sec. He stands back and he opens the window that you had seen previously in this just brilliant vista. He says, this. He just points. Any questions?
Yeah.
You
What are you the god of?
Yeah. Yeah. Closes the window and sits back down.
You're the god of, yeah.
No, space. Somewhat.
Space.
All right, I'm a little bit out of sorts, but I am a god. Space, I got a bit of time in there, just a little bit, enough to send small objects, and not very often. But mostly, and this brings back into your question, Mr. Vincent Goldwater there yet. I'm a god of underdogs. What do I see in you lot? Real potential for something big, something amazing, right? And you can always look at, the big old hero man with the super sword wandering the world trying to save everybody. But honestly, those people, they don't entirely know what it means to be on the ground, yeah? Some of us, we know. Each and every one of us here knows what it's like to live on the ground. And it's made us something, isn't it? That's mostly what drew me to you. I can see it in you.
It doesn't really look like Vincent sleeps on the ground.
I do occasionally, but not in the way you're thinking.
You think people have to pay for that?
Also, I have in the past, darling. This world is difficult. But this, the god of underdogs, as you call it, I feel like we need to spice that up, but it's an interesting portfolio.
What I brought you all here for is an opportunity. A bond. Now, most gods, you all know about the dungeon, right? Giant structure, impossible floors, monsters, and the like.
I came out of it.
Important distinction, love. You are a person, right? The monsters that live in that dungeon, they might look like you, but they can assume any kind of form they want. Lickety split. And as he brings his hands down, you see his face shift into that of yours. He just brings his hand back up and it becomes different again. This time, clean shaven. And he's like, no. Brings it back down and you see once again the disheveled kind of just beard. No. Therein lies kind of the issue, right? That dungeon that sits at the center of the city there. Everyone and their dog wants it for one reason or another. And honestly, I couldn't care less. I brought you lot here because I want to offer you something big. The opportunity to get what you want out of life. Something that life wouldn't give to you otherwise. Something real.
And I assume this proposition of yours comes with all the added, plus or minus a few, benefits of being a part of the other families. as well as our contribution, of course.
You'd be part of my family, yeah? Is that what you're saying? We'd be a pod. You know, we live together. We eat together, you know. We read the paper. Hello, Papa, bring me the paper. Right, I will do that. Head to the front door and the like. Stride on past.
Darling, if I might ask, how long have you been here?
I just put this house together close to a few weeks ago. I was hoping it'd be a nice little showpiece. Now, to answer that question in full, I have a much larger house, right? One a bit more impressive, just down the way. But there's a little bit of a problem with it. Now, I can get to that in a little bit. Right now, I want to know, what's your thoughts? Share with me. Be one with me, right?
Well, Patience told us never to sign anything unless we ask her first. And it sounds like you want us to bring you the paper in the morning, and that sounds like servitude, which is also something that we were told not to, unless we get paid for it, we shouldn't do things for people like that.
Patience is a wise woman. You see, I don't want nothing from you in servitude. I ain't got no in perpetuity in my clauses, you know. What I want to speak to you about is becoming something more, right? Family. What I can offer you, you don't need to sign. I ain't gonna hold you to it. I ain't gonna keep you. What I want to give is something I haven't been able to give for a long time. If anything, I'll be your dad in a way. And I'll serve you, right? In my previous story, I went out to get the paper, yeah? That's my generosity. And honestly, it's that kind of thing that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and I ain't found it here.
I take it we're the first to join your family.
No,
Considering
actually.
that you wish to be. Oh. Then you're already a father.
In a way. But you see, the two who've joined me keep me awfully lonely. I got one, a happy gnomish fellow, but he honestly wanders more about the forests in the elven districts than he does stays with me. And the other one's just a little boy. And he's doing his best, trying to protect everyone he can. But he's so far away. You know how it can be with kids. And he looks about all of you. Oh, yeah.
You bonded a child.
Now, you say that, but he has family on his end as well that keep him in line. He's safe. You trust me in that. I would never put my family at risk.
Can I insight check that?
You may. What you do know about gods is that...
Vincent doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. But 23 is good. He seems completely and utterly genuine. In fact, like, the concept of putting his family members at risk seemed to frustrate him a bit. He, like, lifts the spoon gingerly off and places it back in the pot and begins to stir it. And he, like, leans down and grabs one of the cups of tea, and as it still somehow produces this warmth, he just begins to take a sip and places it down.
How about this, Lavos? We've heard about what you represent, but what do your more inner feelings align with? Are you a god who likes to align with more justice and equality for all, or do you dabble in the more voracious transgressions of mankind?
I'll be completely honest with you. I've never really thought much about the law or chaos. If anything, the world that revolves around us is always a bit of both, yeah? Good and evil is an axis, right? It's not one or the other. And sometimes the greater good takes a little bit of finagling, if that makes sense. It's my thoughts on the two. I'm not going to rush to court, is what I'm saying. And if a man needs to die, sometimes people need to die.
Interesting.
Look, I've got a family. I've got a few dads already, actually. And I'm gonna be loyal to them, no matter what. But if you get me in that tower... Shit, I'd do basically anything.
Well, darling, don't give him everything in the cake, too.
Yeah, shut up. I just want what I want. I don't need to twist any words about it. Deal.
Just checking. Are you able to give us ash bonds?
Yes, honey, that's what he offered from the beginning. He's a god.
That power lies within both of us. And that bond makes us family. That bond will give you things you've never imagined before. You can sleep off a broken bone, lass. You've never seen anything like it.
Or a crossbow bolt wound?
Nothing. You could probably take 30 of those.
Impressive.
Do we have to say yes now?
The bond don't take unless you're willing, truly. It's not something that can be forced upon you. And I don't want to force you into a decision like this, because honestly, what I'm offering upon you lot is a lifetime of misfortune. That bond, it puts a lot on you. Mentally, physically, people look at you different. And bad things seem to just kind of seek you out, you know? I don't offer this lightly.
That's not really that different than it is already.
Mm.
Do we just come back here if we want to say yes?
You got it. I'll be waiting for you.
Okay. Has anyone, out of character, has anyone touched the food?
Oh.
I don't think
I mean,
so.
Jojo, probably. Like, Jojo goes right now, I guess.
Vincent
Pom-Pom
probably
says-
grabs some tea, not to be rude.
Pom-Pom said never to eat food from strangers, especially if they could be fae, because they can have rule over your soul forever. So I will eat my sandwich that I brought. And I
What's
bring
a
out my
pom-pom?
sandwich.
You just hear a voice on the back of your shoulder say, "You should try the sandwich. If it's fey, it will be the best sandwich that you have ever eaten."
I just keep eating my sandwich.
Would anyone mind if I take a few of these home?
Yeah, no, I bought it for you. Feel free.
I already I had breakfast this morning. I'm good.
Okay. And I just take like one item for each. So 4 items, 1 for me and then 3 others. I put them in a little package, shove it in the front of my work apron.
Is anyone else gonna eat this?
Probably not, darling.
No.
He just packs it back up in the box and hands it to you, Killian.
This works.
Thank
It's
you.
not like I wasn't tempted by the sugar frosting. It's just
It's
I'm
dust.
hungry.
Yeah, it's dust. It's dust.
Well, it is you will, I guess. Each his own.
It was a pleasure meeting each of you. I'll be back. I'll be back to tell you yes or no, regardless of what I decide. And I trip out the door.
Oh, that poor little darling.
They were small and green. I liked them.
She could use a little bit of extra something in her life.
From the edge of the portal, she says, "Do I just walk through?"
The figure stands and makes their way out towards the doorway. And kind of as you see them strike this just pose from behind, silhouetted by the light coming in through the wooden cabin, he says, Killian, you know, they really respect you. And they follow you. Be good to them. I'll see you tomorrow or the next day. You just walk right on through there, love.
Okay, thank you. And she closes her eyes and holds her breath and goes through.
You're incinerated. No, I'm just kidding.
God, I can't with him. He's so cute.
You make your way through, and as you hear the, you look backwards and you see the empty cabin. As you glean forward, you see the path before you, and you begin down it.
I hustle.
Lavos comes back and kind of sits down in the cabin amongst everyone.
Well, Jojo, you're already part of this wonderful little family going. Vincent just kind of looks around and he's just looking at this log cabin. He's just like, you have another home, you said, right?
I do, yeah. I can get a bit more into details about that once we're bound, right? Because I don't want to scare no one for anything. But at the moment,
Scare
it's just
us.
down the way. Yeah.
This place.
Yeah. Well, I've already said too much, probably. But
I know I gave you shit about not paying for the food, but actually, thanks for stopping those guys.
At
Oh,
this
sorry.
point, Vincent reaches into his little front pocket on his vest and takes out a little copper coin and just kind of fiddles with it in his hand. And he'll just look over at Lavos and be like, well, I've never been one to beat around the bush when it comes to a deal that I want, though. And this proposition seems to be quite interesting. However, Lavos, I do wish to add one small stipulation to this. You'll be a dear to listen to it.
Oh, I'm here, yeah.
For the family lodgings, when it reaches an adequate livability to my standards, I wish a guest to move in onto the premises, not for free, of course. I'll offer the aid in forms of maybe service to the property as well as cleaning. But they are to be protected under the family. But they are never to be ash bonded. Is this agreeable?
The bond ain't the only thing that makes us family, yeah? We got bonds in here, too. You're telling me you want this person to show up at my house and cook and clean? Well, fuck, I can't allow something like that in my house. No. He looks around at the, immaculate area. Vincent Goldwater, I accept your terms. My boy.
At that moment, you hear the of the portal reappearing, and Killian comes rushing back towards the cabin and says, "Lavos, can I get a piece of paper that says that I didn't steal these, so that I can go through the streets and not be harassed by people? This is really expensive."
This is the saddest shit I've ever heard. And he stands, he moves over towards the doorway, and he writes it out, kind of signs it, even documents the items inside the box, and then kind of folds it up and pulls out just a small cord of twine, ties it to the top, draws a small picture of you. And he's like, what else can I do to make sure this is
Jojo
right,
goes
proper?
over and writes her name as and then title as employee at the Dragonleaf. I mean, not the Dragonleaf TS, the Lavender TS.
I feel like I might be off or something, but I have nothing to do in this regard. Also, Killian, if you do end up joining our family and anyone causes you issue, send them my way.
Okay, you'll have to get in front of Patience first.
She might not always be around.
That was very ominous.
And I head out.
Are you going to somewhat take care of Patience?
Do you guys all know each other? What's the Patience?
I do not know.
No. It sounds like an embodiment of a virtue. I don't know what that means.
She's a sparkly woman.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm assuming she's quite patient.
Well, oh no. He goes back into the house. Actually, here. Follow me. You guys leave the house, and Lavos leads you around the side towards the back, and no more than like 10 seconds away down a small path, it just digs down, and you see a small like patio set that is kind of inset there with a large umbrella that is bound between trees, hanging and shading the area, overlooking a large chasm that is just leads into a small river flowing through the area. And he sits down.
Vincent, is there another chair near there?
Several, yeah.
Vincent will take a seat next to him.
Matilda, what do you think?
You're very misguided, and I don't think you understand that I'm already spoken for 2 times over.
I figure I can help you with that. You see, how the Ashfall works, right? I ain't giving you power. I'm just connecting you into a wellspring, right? And your histories, your lives, everything that makes you who you are determines what your potential is. And you all have immense potential. I can see it on you. And yeah, you got a couple things on you there, but there's more than you know. If you want solutions and the power to find them, maybe you want to be spoken for, maybe you don't. If you want the ability to do something about it, that's what I can give you. He reaches a hand out to both Vincent and Jojo. You see the ash above you that falls perpetually around the city, that flows down and through individual solid objects. Even as Lavos reached his hand out, you see the ash fall, hit his palm, and fall through it to the other side as the incorporeal world around you continues to dance. But as he brings them together, the ash begins to move almost at a whim and encircle his own clasped hands. It took me a while to learn how to do this. Completely safe, I promise you.
I've heard it hurts.
It can. It can hurt like nothing else.
Jojo turns her back towards and then opens the I wanted sort of where I have my tattoo on Jojo. She's just like, I think she knows a little bit how ash bonds work, right? From her mom's research.
Yeah, and it's, in general, ash bonds are incredibly well known.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like this, so. He approaches and he brings his hands down. Do you trust me, Jojo?
Inside check.
Go ahead and roll inside.
16.
He seems caring. He seems dedicated. From what he's been saying up until this point thus far, you sense no hostility and no ill intent. And as he moves towards you now, he's doing so in a way that makes it seem like he's trying to convey a sense of calm.
Look, I don't really know you, but I'm pretty sure you saved my mom. I haven't actually talked to her about that yet, but it's worth the risk.
Places his hands down, and you, Matilda and Vincent, both watching from the corner, the ash begins to swirl around the both of them. And as it moves in these strange patterns, zigzagging and back and forth through the air, it almost becomes this strange maelstrom that slowly begins to dig in a spherical setting. The closer the ash gets to each other, you see immediate like sparks, and from those sparks out fly small cosmos of energy, fading and drifting into stardust and rejoining into this maelstrom of energy that surrounds you. And as it moves through your body, you feel that warmth as this bubble just envelops your form and begins to bear down. The heat begins to build. more and more and more it begins to compress, and you feel your body, you feel as though you yourself are being pulled into that ocean, that sphere of pressure and depth. Roll a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
And you grit your
dirty 20.
teeth and you hold back as the pain becomes immense. Slowly it begins to solidify and you feel yourself burn from the inside out. From the center of your core, it just shoots up towards your shoulder, down your arms, across your nerves, as it feels as though your entire body is ignited. And in an instant afterwards, you feel almost like a immediate tap from a brand. A quick, sharp jolt on the side of your shoulder, and then cold. Incredibly cold. You feel lonely. For a brief moment, you feel like every mistake in your life has come to heal in this one moment. And your eyes are drawn for a moment towards the dungeon and up its impossible spires towards the sky. And as you shake your head and you regain a sense of yourself, you feel a spark. And as Lavos looks upon the bond, it begins to distort slightly and twist. It begins to turn ragged and jagged. And Lavos places his hand down on the bond and is like, I told you to trust me. He begins to focus in for a brief moment, and Vincent, Matilda, you see him and you can see this air of immediate, just minor worry. As he begins to focus, you see the ash swirl again and then dissipate, and then almost move as though to avoid Jojo's body. Before one flies through and across, and another one. You see faint ash bring itself together to form a strange little sprite that dances through the air, and then explodes, a banana falls, hits the ground, and kind of bounces back and forth for a moment as though to fly away, and Lavos is just watching this all happen. Right, yeah, we're done. Like, takes a step back.
What do you...
Hey, we're all individuals, you know, everyone has their own way of doing things.
That was entertaining, at the very least.
What is it?
I'll ask you this. What color do you believe your ash bond to be?
I originally thought it'd be white, but I'm thinking it's probably green. It's probably the green one.
As you stand back and you lean over your shoulder, you see emblazoned in your shoulder a sigil that is no more than disparate small spheres connected by individual lines. And as a single sphere at the center shoots upwards, it hits the very pinnacle of the tattoo, and emblazoned in is this just faint, small star. But the entire thing has been shifted, distorted, and is almost like, jagged. Lavos says, this is my symbol, right? This is what... this is a piece of me now. We have been joined by this bond. And now we are family, truly. In one way or another. And he takes you and he spins you around and he says, I will protect you with everything I have. And when I send you into danger, when I send you into the unknown, I do so trusting fully that you will come out unscathed. He slaps you on the shoulder. I saw a lot of things. When we joined there for a brief moment, Jojo. We're one now.
What, do you saw like my whole life or something?
Kinda. They're just flashes, you know. Just what the ash gives us.
Okay. One thing. Like, Jojo knows exactly what class she is now, right?
As you glean the power that has just suffused through your body, you are fully aware of your capabilities and how to access them. The knowledge has just been implanted in you. As you feel the strength that surges through you, you can just feel this primal energy.
Okay, you said that everything we were comes part of us when we Ashfall. It becomes part of what we can do. So what the fuck? I've been studying arcane theory for years, almost my entire life, and I'm a fucking barbarian. What kind of racist bullshit is this?
Whoa, hey, just because you're barbarian don't mean you ain't smart.
Oh,
I'm a barbarian. That's not true. I don't want to lie to you. Yeah, I'm not.
No, I know I'm still smart, but it's sort of bullshit. I know it's... Okay, never mind. Fine,
Georgia, we will take this up with the Ash.
I mean, your response to a window breaking was to grab a spear and to go and like
Well,
attack.
I don't know. I wasn't Ashfall, and then I didn't know any magic. I just know theory, and theory's not gonna save you in battle.
Yeah, so the fact that you're a barbarian makes a lot of sense.
Well, Jojo, I feel like you have a lot to unpack here. So why don't you sit down, love?
I'm writing all this down. I'm gonna take this up at the very top. I'll go to the dungeon in the morning and inquire as to this, and maybe we can request a do-over.
Does Matilda believe him?
Go ahead and roll insight.
Yeah, Matilda's like, Alright, insight. That is a 13.
13? He seems genuine. It seems like he's probably going to go to some kind of business and be like, who do I talk about for ash bonds?
She very specifically stands, doesn't sit like Vincent told her to.
I have some books if you'd like.
Yes.
In the back room over there.
Okay. She goes to buy those books.
Yeah, heading
Don't
back
stand
towards
them.
the cabin. You find yourself basically alone in the cabin. Lavos looks towards the two of you.
I don't think she's gonna stab the books. She likes books.
You, Matilda, you seem like someone who doesn't get out much. Why did you choose to come today?
I don't know if you're insulting me or just making an observation.
That's up for your prerogative to decide,
okay.
I guess.
I get out. I do.
Okay. Well, why did you choose to come today?
I had a conversation with my Mama Mal and my Pom Pom, and we decided that I should go and see what they wanted me to say, or what they wanted to say to me.
What did you want from... If your note was similar to mine, you knew you were coming here to visit a god, correct?
Well, honestly, all three of us kind of thought it was bullshit.
Oh, so you're just amused by the notion of wasting your time?
I'm not amused. I wanted to see what it was, and they wanted to know if they needed to get involved and cause people some problems. They don't like it when people make fun of me.
Huh. Well, I'm glad it's more than you had hopes for. And hopefully you'll agree to join. We can always use some more family. I'll look towards Lavos. I assume I'm next.
All right, you are then.
Leans back and brings both hands out.
Where would you like this bond?
Vincent just unbuttons his vest and throws it on the chair, and then goes to unbutton his shirt and opens it. Probably here, love.
Right. Don't mind me.
And brings his hands together.
Full consent, darling.
Pushes them forward, and you see once again the ash begin to swirl. I will have you roll a Constitution saving throw.
Matilda turns around and covers her eyes.
Matilda turns around and covers her eyes.
Out of respect, like just to be, yeah.
Vincent, he brings his hands together and places them down upon your chest. Here. Okay.
It's not quite center. It's a little bit off to the side, but it's basically in the middle of the chest.
Touch those boobs.
places his hands down on your chest and begins to focus as the ash begins to swirl. And you see it like a calm torrent moves in and around in these fine patterns that begin to dance almost as though moving through a melody themselves. And slowly as it begins to inset downwards, as the ash touches your skin like a cigarette butt flicked towards you, you just recoil from the heat. And as it slowly, each and every fleck of ash begins to pour down upon you, you feel your body all but be incinerated in that brief moment, and you try your best to hold back, but the pain becomes too much, and as it begins to bear down and to just pull itself through, it passes through your lungs and through your heart itself, and as your heartbeat begins to move, Lavos stops and focuses for a brief moment as you kind of and slowly begin to drift. Your body, your arms begin to lift slightly. You become weightless for a moment as Lavos continues to focus, and then he himself begins to also move alongside this as slowly you are lifted up out of the chairs, and off in the distance, this vast vista, more ash continues to come as though drawn by this performance. And as it gathers around you and solidifies into your chest, you feel poof, a final beat of your heart as you awaken and you slam down in the chair. You take 10 points of bludgeoning damage and 5 points of fire damage as you slam yourself down, and you feel just exhausted and your entire body feels hot, and then that heat immediately fades to a dull cold. But in the distance, you can hear the roar of a crowd calling out your name. Thousands of people in tune. And as finally that last little bit of energy leaves your body, you feel clammy and cold, sweaty. But you sit now feeling the same confidence you've always felt. What color do you believe your ash bond to be?
Oh, it's of course got gold, darling.
And as the pale glittering gold of your bond begins to set in like gold dust ever dancing, Lavos looks towards you and says, "It's a hell of a life you've led."
You do not disappoint, darling. That was quite something.
You don't look all right.
I've felt better, but frankly, for me to get an ash bomb, I didn't think it wouldn't be difficult.
You held in there, son. You did really well.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take that and put it on the fridge, but thank you.
Those exist. Fridges are fucking amazing. I remember as soon as I got my first one. No, if you can afford a fridge, you should buy one. They're amazing.
Can I look now?
Oh,
you always could have if you wanted.
If you wish to? Oh. Matilda, are you, persuasive to the manners of the flesh?
Are you talking about fucking?
Not exactly. I turned around when I unbuttoned my shirt, so I was like, if it makes you more comfortable, I can put it back up.
I didn't know if you said that they could, but not if I could. And also, Pom Pom really doesn't like it when other people do that around me. They get really mad.
Yes, generally the public does if you do that out in the open.
I can't attest to that.
I've heard that there's quite interesting celebrations that are down in the orchards once or twice a year for the festivals. You should join them sometime. And Vincent will do up a couple of his buttons.
How do you feel, Matilda? You seem on edge. You seem distant. Is joining the magical family of someone you've never met strange? You're not saying it out loud. It seems a little bit out there.
We thought you were completely full of baloney. We did not think that you were actually going to do this. I need to go home and talk to my Mama Mal and my Pom Pom, and we will make a decision.
Of course.
Matilda, how old are you?
18.
Are your parents also human?
I think?
Okay, you haven't confirmed. That's interesting. Well, if you need to go home and that is your family opinion, but you're an adult, so you can decide for your own if you wish.
No, I'm going to go home.
Let me. He stands up. Matilda, if I had to say one thing to you today, it would probably be safe travels. I hope to see you again. We can do some great things together. And some terrible things too, if that's your jam, but I think it's more about getting there than being there, if that makes sense to you.
I think you're interesting. I think you are contradictory. I will come back and speak to you.
He just stands and begins to walk with you towards the front. As he says, Vincent, Jojo, if you would come with me, if you please.
Yeah. And she comes out with her book. Can I borrow those?
Yeah. Everything I have is yours.
Stands up and dusts himself off
Thanks.
from his vest over his arm, follows along.
As he makes his way with the group towards the entrance, and he looks up at the bubble, and he's like, this is just to keep out undesirables. And he begins to he passes through and disappears.
I follow.
Yep. Follow.
As you reach the other side, Matilda, the carriage that had been purchased for you has long since gone. And it says, the forest does have some wolves in it. I'm just kidding. It's fine. As you walk through the path, just make sure to stay on the road. Alright? Alright. Killian should be fine, but someone of your persuasion might draw attention.
Okay.
Alright, I'll see you around. I will be here at this house once you make your decision. Jojo and Vincent, if you would be so kind as to follow me. And he pulls 7 silver out of his pack and gives it to you, Jojo. That's for the treats.
Oh. I was just giving you shit. You
I should pay for them, right? Family. That's what we do. He makes his way.
Thanks.
Vincent just takes a little notebook out of his vest on his arm and starts making a couple notes as he's walking along.
He goes down a long and winding forest path until eventually it comes out at the massive old stone walls of Old Town. And he kind of rests along the edge. He looks up towards them. And then he brings his hands together and begins to just weave this strange distortion in space. As he lifts it out and away, you see the world around begin to distort as the light begins to refract. It forms this beautiful picture of a massive mansion along the wall. This is my house. Not this specifically. This is an illusion. This is my house right here. I want to give this to all of you as a safe haven. There's somewhere to come back to so that we can all truly be together. We look out for each other. We believe in each other, right? And this house is just beyond those walls. But there's some obstacles, some undesirables who've moved into my house. And I've been treating it rather poorly.
You have a rodent problem?
I have a people problem.
Oh, I guess they can be referred to that as well.
And as I look upon all of this, I want you to get ready. There's a big future is about to unfold upon you. And unfortunately, I can't let you in the dungeon until I've seen what you can do. I think this, and he points towards the illusion, it's a good first run. It's a good test.
Daddy wishes to test to see if his kids are good to go to school.
I didn't expect that. I was taken aback slightly. But you know what? Yeah, you're right. Everything you said. So here's the
You want this
thing.
now?
We can't. We're just two of us. Too dangerous. For now, take what you have on you. Learn from it. Everything you have now, as a part of your body and your soul, it's yours. You earn that through your entire lives. It's everything. Keep it close. Go home. Rest up.
Lavos, we can't remove our ash bones, right?
No. People have tried to get rid of it, but it's straight through to you.
Good. Then I don't expect to be losing it anytime soon.
Turns towards the wall and waves his hand as the illusion dissipates.
Well, Jojo, I'm assuming you have things to do.
Oh, I got a book.
Reading, yes, very important. Shall we head off then?
Yeah, seems like it.
Lavos, are you gonna get in contact with us, or do I just have to show up and get my shoes dirty every day?
You see he's running through his head on some way to be impressive, and he's like, I can send a letter.
That works.
Okay.
Be careful on your way out. And this is the beginning of something for all of us. I can feel it. Head on deck home. I'll see you when you get back here. Let's aim for tomorrow.
Okay.
Just tomorrow? No time?
First thing.
Nope.
First thing, I guess.
If that's what you like. You can see as he looks at the both of you, every response you say, he's kind of taking in intently.
Well, with all of this transpiring and you want us to deal with your people problem, I might need a little bit of extra time. I wasn't expecting to get into the heat of battle, at least not in this way.
All right, how long you want? These people been here for a long time. They ain't going anywhere.
I'd say a week should do. My tailor should be able to work that fast.
A tailor? What the fuck are you? What? What do you need? What do you need the week for?
So, Grit, are you just gonna trounce into a room with no equipment on?
I have this sword.
I can see why you got the barbarian.
Shut up.
Well,
she has a book too.
Yes, we'll we can work on that then, darling. Don't worry. You can always change your future, even if your past has been destined this way.
You trounce off down the pathway back towards the Lavender Cafe. And Vincent, you walk with Lavos at least halfway back towards the cabin. He sits down, he's like, did I do all right? I was trying real hard there.
With the others, in the forms of persuasion, I'm sure you could improve. You did okay for your first time.
Yeah, I'm really distant with all this. It's hard. You're really good at this. I think we can rely on each other for things. I can make stardust. And he waves his hand and you see this
like magical stardust appears. Like, what the fuck good is this for anything? What is this? How you should I scare someone with fucking twinkles? What am I supposed to do?
You were able to persuade those ruffians that came after me earlier, so you're good for some things.
Yes, gods, we can do a lot of different things. Thank you. I appreciate this. Is fantastic. Already, see, this is coexistence. This is fantastic.
Also, Lavos, I know this isn't necessarily for everyone, but I'd say the general populace tends to lean into it. You know how you can change yourself?
Yeah.
You might want to go with a slightly less disheveled attire.
I like looking this way. You really get to know how people treat you.
Teach his own, I guess. But I saw you unshaved. You could look a little better. It's a pity.
Maybe I'll shave the human way.
He like grabs a stone and just like begins to attempt to slam it against a rock to make a sharp surface.
Vincent goes to like stop him, and then he's like, in his head, he's just like, I'll let him experience it.
It continues. As he sits down, you see him basically like survivalist, like dude in the woods, just quickly creates like this spade, pulls a small bit of cord from around his belt and begins to fashion a small like cut, brings his hand across it, it heats up and he brings it down to a soft blade, and, like grabs this, stares at it for a second.
Does he look
This'll
like Bear
do.
Grylls?
Yeah, he's just survival manning it up.
Yeah, I just like picture Lavos looking like Bear Grylls now.
It's much more impressive than you would have expected when he started hitting rocks against each other. But yeah, as you spend a bit of time, you head off, and this is where we'll take our break. So this is the end of the first episode here. And to everyone at home, thank you so much for watching. I've convinced half of them. Soon I'll get the rest into my secret evil cult. And then they'll all be trapped. We survived the intro.
The wall of warbles didn't disintegrate us.
No.
Did good.
Almost did twice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Apparently I just subconsciously want to kill Killian. That's
like,
twice
what?
that I'm just like, and Killian dies. Yes.
Killian's so scared about it. Killian's so cute. I can't with her. She's my favorite. I want to protect her.
Good.
That's me, Candace. I don't think
Good.
Jojo cares. Yeah.
We'll see you all at
Jojo will
home
feel that way eventually.
next time.
See
Bye,
ya.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.